Good morning, everyone. Welcome into a Tuesday. A little bit wintry outside today, and I've seen it worse, but I've seen it a little bit better. Just going to go a little bit slower today, a little icy in spots. I came up from the north side. Probably took me about 10 minutes longer to get here. Everybody was kind of just plodding along, doing their thing, a patch or two of ice here and there. I know that, James, you're fairly close here in the city. How was your commute in? Probably not too bad, right?
No, it was fine. It's winter. Snow is on the ground. Drive slower. I always feel like accidents happen in the snow, not because of the snow, but because people do not know how to drive in the snow. Slow down.
KB, you're kind of in between the two of us. What was your commute like in this morning?
Yeah, a couple minutes longer. Side roads, meh. Main roads I thought were pretty fine, though. So safe travels to everybody out there. I know a lot of 2-hour delays, so definitely check that out. WIBC's got an updated list for those that it's part of the morning routine. Make sure you check that out. And I think snow on November 30th and December 1st is disgusting.
And I'm over it. I'm over it. And, ever since I had the heart attack 6 years ago, I have to take this blood thinner in the morning, right? And so I get colder a lot easier. I'm just letting you all know now, I am full long john underneath the pants. I got the base layer, long sleeve base layer underneath the shirt that's underneath my sweater. I am toasty and ready to go, James Boyd.
You look like you're ready for Notre Dame IU outdoors from a few years ago.
Let's go. Put a park on and I'll be there.
Rickard's rocking the long johns.
Oh, yeah.
My eyes are up here.
Get those nice little tech ones. They're all black, and they're very nice, very warm. I like it. Everything is nice and toasty as it should be, Mark Dykton.
Boy, this is more information than I need at 7:02.
Well, I will say we got some relatively positive news, I would say, Kevin, on the Colts injury front, if you want to fill people in for those who only have a few minutes here early in the morning.
I was curious how you would transition. Were you going to go, well, the Pacers weren't very toasty last night, but the Colts injury news is
I figured I wouldn't take too many shots at the Pacers right now. They've won 2 of their last 3,
Sauce Gardner, just a strained calf, and I say just a strained calf because, anytime you see the manner in which he went down yesterday, I was actually listening to a little bit of Pat McAfee. Tyrese Halliburton mentioned, I guess, to Pat in the suite. When he saw it, he thought, oh, no. And obviously Tyrese Halliburton would be quite the source, unfortunately, when it comes to that. So, strained calf, going to miss some time. Shane Steichen said IR is not a possibility, so that means within a 4-week window, expect a return of Sauce Gardner, and the Achilles is good to go. So I think by far the disastrous scenario has been avoided with that. Obviously, he's going to miss some time, and that is notable. But at some point here in the next month, again, there's only 5 games left, but at some point here in the next few weeks, you should probably expect him back.
That's fantastic news, but I don't know. You were more nervous yesterday because of the way he was answering questions in the locker room post-game, right, James? Because you couldn't get a read on what he felt or what he...
he said both things. Like, I don't think it's an Achilles, but I can't say it's not an Achilles. And so you wait for more information, which you got yesterday, which was positive. Now, they did say, and shout out to Kevin for asking this question, that IR is not a possibility, injured reserve, meaning if he were to go on injured reserve, he would have to miss at least 4 more games, which would knock him out until the regular season finale. However, Shane Steichen said they're not considering that. He gave a definitive yes when asking if Sauce Gardner will play again this year. So perhaps it's more like the Kenny Moore II situation from about a month or 2 ago where he missed some time with an Achilles strain, and I think it was a 3-game absence, Kevin.
Anything else of note that Shane Steichen was talking about, asked about, let everybody in on yesterday after that game?
Kevin's best friend, Michael Badgley.
Yeah, we'll see about a kicker tryout. I think there will be something, but we'll keep an eye on that throughout today. Last time they did the kicker tryout on a Tuesday. That is Players' Day off. For those unfamiliar with how the Colts schedule works, then they'll get back to work coming up tomorrow in full earnest. And I do say this half seriously. I am curious how the weather will impact that. I mean, James, you remember what? This was about a month and a half ago. Like, Brett Rippon couldn't get here on time in perfect weather. He missed the first practice as a Colt. So, these kickers are not, you're not sending the Irsay Jets to go pick up, Matthew Wright and Harrison
Well, you don't want to
Mevis
win. You don't want to win.
Who are our random kickers out there? Is Eddie Pinheiro kicking, Mark? Is Cairo Santos kicking?
Rodrigo Blankenship, that's who I go to.
There you go. Shane was very non-committal on it. He played the all defer to Chris. Unfortunately, Chris Bauer is not available during the season.
He was asked again by Joel A. Erickson, and then he hit us with the, I love Badge, I love the player. And I feel like whenever I was growing up,
he
my
talks
coach
about Michael
said
Badgley a little bit more like in the he's my son light than I recall.
I don't know if I'd go that far,
Right.
but it's definitely
He
like.
said he loved them. How many times he said that he loves players on
Well, he says he loves a lot of players, at least earlier this year, I would think.
a backup kicker?
That's my thing, though. I feel like when you're struggling and the coach says, I love you, it's not a good sign, perhaps, for what's to come.
He does have history with Michael Badgley, for what it's worth. They were together in a previous stop. But still, we'll see. There are, if you guys want to get into names, there are still some names from the tryout back 2 months ago that are still out there. Matthew Wright, I bring up that name. He has kicked for 3 teams since then and has kicked fairly well. They could, maybe sign a guy off a practice squad somewhere else. So we'll see how it plays out here coming up today, because this is when the kicker tryout occurred last time.
But if he's kicked for like 3 teams, he hasn't stuck with anybody, right?
Right. So their situations usually involved an injured kicker.
Gotcha.
So yeah, kicked well, made all his kicks, extra points, and
And
field
then
goals.
the other guy got healthy, and that was that, right?
Right. Mm-hmm.
All right. Makes a lot of sense. So anyway, got a lot to talk about today. It is winter full on. That's what happens sometimes the first week of December. I felt like there was a nice little 3-4 year run there, KB, where it wasn't the winters just weren't that severe, and we might have got spoiled by that.
Do you think there's anything louder than the hit of an upright in an NFL game?
I don't know, but
It's one of the louder noises I feel like I hear.
That's loud. I do think the mics at Pacers games are loud. Like when you shoot a brick at a Pacers game, that brick is heard.
Is there a mic inside the upright too?
There might be.
Can we get
It
a
wouldn't
camera
surprise me.
on it for Fairbairn's extra points? We probably need that. But damn, I mean, I went back and was watching the game yesterday, and I hear that Badgley missed extra point. Gosh, it sounded like a bomb was dropped.
Not ideal.
I felt that in my soul when that one hit.
Sent now by Parkey. I would ask you the question, as this one is...
There's got to be a mic on there. There's got to be a mic on there.
It was so loud. And that extra point started left of the upright. It was a miracle that it got back to the upright. But
it
yeah,
was closer to going through than the one that was counted good by Tennessee later on, or by
you could probably-
No,
by
I can't
Texans.
go that far.
I can. I've watched it 1,000,000 times.
Well,
it's not good.
One guy clearly hit it. That
Right,
disqualifies you.
See, the other guy missed it. I'm telling you, if those uprights go straight up another 10 feet, it doesn't even hit the upright.
Boy, I don't know if I can get into this
All right,
debate
I was
again
about to
today.
say, let's move on.
I'm there, and I'm owning it. I'll take that. I'll fight on that hill till I'm
I
dead.
thought the Pacers matched the weather last night. Just no effort in that first quarter. I thought that was really disappointing for me, because Cleveland is missing several guys. Cleveland was on the second night of a back-to-back. And, yeah, Donovan Mitchell obviously is unbelievable. But that first quarter lead was built by effort with Cleveland and a lack of effort by the Pacers. I think that's what's disappointing. It's, talent-wise, you're at a deficiency. That's obvious. But the second chance points, just a huge, huge number. Play from behind the whole game, and you're not going to get back in that game. So, yes, as James says, you've won 2 of 3. But still, last night, I think Vegas had it at a 4.5-point spread. You felt like, okay, is this one of these where you're catching a team in the right schedule mindset? In terms of a back-to-back, could you be a little bit more competitive? And boy, you just got beat to every loose ball in that first quarter.
Not only that, but turnovers were a problem, and they just, to your point, one more. Not just loose balls, but rebounds too. The rebounds and turnovers were the difference in that game last night, because I think ultimately Cleveland shot like 51%, and Indiana shot 49%. It wasn't that big
Second
a disparity.
chance points killed you.
Yeah. Got to go get those other rebounds. Possessions will get you, and that's what happened last night. But there was a moment. Did it feel when they got to within 6 at the very end, towards the end of the third quarter, like maybe, hey, it's second night of a back-to-back for Cleveland, maybe they're starting to run out of steam, maybe Indiana can get on a little run here? I thought that was going to be the case. Then I think Cleveland finished the third with a 3 and scored the first few points of the fourth quarter.
Mitchell
and that was
is
it.
so good. Yeah, I think it was one of those fake runs. You get close, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, wait, we have to go get more out of the old
I
tank.
was going to say, and it takes so much energy just to get back into the game.
And you didn't have your energy guy, T.J. McConnell and Rick Carlisle at 9 today, by the way. Joel A. Erickson coming up at 8, Rick Carlisle at 9. T.J. McConnell only played 6 minutes. Rick said afterwards, just sore and didn't look like his normal self. Nothing injury-related. Again, he's obviously missed time at the start of the season. Friday, Saturday was his first back-to-back of the year. So, when you don't have the energy provider that McConnell is, you can only live on Jay Huff and Garrison Matthews hitting threes for so long.
Yeah. A lot going on this morning. It is very cold outside. It's not quite to freezing yet. The roads can be a little iffy depending on where you are, especially the raised bridges and things like that aren't tethered to the ground. It's been warm for a little while now. So keep an eye on that. Just go slow and you'll be fine. And I think check if you got kids too, a lot of folks on delayed start today. Mark, did you guys hear anything out in Brownsburg?
No, I checked before I left. Ashley has her phone by her, but no word yet on a delay.
They're tough out there. They just won a
Right.
6A state title. They don't have time for
Can't
2-hour
hold us
delays.
down.
No, you probably have Nora be driving in the snow and any day now.
They might
We're
start
good
2
to go.
hours early today just
Yeah.
to prove that. Westfield's going 2-hour delay.
Can't hold down the
Brownsburg's starting
bird.
2-hour early.
Well, we've gotten a call at our schools out there. Everybody's delayed, so we'll keep an eye on everything for you as well. But we got a hot show for you today. Rick Carlisle coming up, as Kevin said, at 9 o'clock, as the Pacers have won 2 of their last 3, dropped one to Cleveland last night, and a Donovan Mitchell special. Tell you all about that next. It's 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
It's the down from the left hash. Elliott's kick is off.
All right, here's what's happening right here, right now in Indianapolis. We will start with the Colts. They've lost 3 of their last 4. They play a key divisional game on the road against the Jacksonville Jaguars on Sunday, a place that's not been traditionally kind to Indianapolis, but they are still 8-4 and in the thick of the playoff hunt and even in the thick of a divisional hunt at the AFC South. That's why this is such an important game coming up on Sunday at 1 o'clock. Question is, who will be healthy, who will not be healthy? I guess some good news. Kevin Bowen, they won't have Sauce Gardner this week against Jacksonville, but it doesn't look like a long-term devastating injury that we were afraid it could be on Sunday.
Yeah, Shane Steichen said Achilles good to go, and that he will not go on injured reserve. We know injured reserve means at least 4 weeks. So, yeah, from a long-term standpoint, it's positive. Obviously, Sunday is a monumental game, and you won't have Sauce Gardner, and DeForest Buckner is still on IR for 1 more week. So that is less than ideal.
James Boyd, as far as other things concerning the Indianapolis Colts, who will be the kicker on Sunday when they line up either for the kickoff or their first extra point?
I don't know, but they definitely have to revisit that topic after, as Kevin has pointed out over the last couple of weeks, the 3rd missed point after attempt by Michael Badgley. They've only had, in the previous 5 years combined, 4 as an entire team. So the fact that he has 3 in 7 games is very alarming. Again, if you're not going to be the distance guy, you got to be the money guy inside of the distance, and even on the short kicks, he's missing. So I wouldn't be surprised if we saw some tryouts come out later today with kickers.
We do not know that for sure. We'll wait to find out. Chris Ballard, though, has spoken glowingly of his good buddy, Michael Badgley, has he not?
Shane Steichen.
Shane Steichen, not Chris Ballard.
Correct.
All right. Just want to make sure I get my facts straight there. We've also got the Indiana Pacers dropping one to the Cleveland Cavaliers at home last night, 135-119. 2 different times the Cavaliers had a 21-point advantage. Pacers did manage to kind of cut it to 6 towards the end of the third quarter, but never really felt like they were going to get over the hump, James. It was just one of those nights for Donovan Mitchell, who scored 43, and they just were out-rebounded and out-hustled at times last night.
Donovan Mitchell, what a guy. Do you know who his girlfriend is?
No.
Mark?
No.
Coco Jones, who is beautiful. He's winning at life right now. Shout out to Donovan Mitchell. As far as the Pacers go, yeah, no Coco Jones for them and no dub last night. Bad defense and a poor effort after, I thought, playing pretty well over their last 2 games leading into that one.
If you were watching the game and you saw T.J. McConnell get into the game and then never get back after about 5.5 minutes of action, it was simply because Rick Carlisle, knowing that he's coming off that hamstring injury at the beginning of the season, said he was coming off back-to-back appearances, and he just didn't quite look himself, and so Rick thought he would just pull the plug on that right here, right now, and not even get into it. So that's why TJ never got back in the game.
Yeah, didn't play in the second half. And that was the night you needed to match Cleveland's energy, which I think is disappointing because Cleveland was coming off the back-to-back. They were missing some guys there. Second half, or second chance points just killed them. Matherin was awful. Jay Huff, Garrison Matthews were literally, outside of Siakam, of course, were the ones that keeping the Pacers somewhat in it, and that's a stretch.
Did Thomas Bryant get a tribute video? I
was going to ask if you were there to greet him.
I was not there. I saw the snow, and I chickened out.
Did you not shovel his pathway walking into the arena?
You know, I love me some Thomas Bryant, my favorite Pacer, probably of all time. What a great dude and hilarious player for very good reasons, I would say.
More cheers for Thomas Bryant or Miles Turner in his
definitely
return?
Thomas Bryant. Thomas got him to, the finals, baby,
Game
Game 6.
That big 3-point shot, man.
Yeah.
So anyway, the Pacers will try to put that one in the rearview mirror tomorrow night. They will be back at the Fieldhouse hosting the Denver Nuggets. Your chance to go see Nikola Jokic, who's doing Jokic things all year again. Isn't he averaging a triple-double right now?
If he's not, he's close.
Man.
It's just a standard with that guy, one of the best players I've ever seen. Ever, as far as any era.
It's crazy, and you'll have the opportunity to watch that tomorrow night. Meanwhile, the NCAA basketball rankings are out, and right now Purdue is still ranked number 1, just ahead of the Arizona Wildcats and Michigan Wolverines starting to get some love. Indiana is now ranked number 22, Kevin Bowen, in the basketball rankings.
Yeah, so Purdue will get things started tonight. I know the December Big Ten game has struck some fear into Matt Painter's squads in recent years, as odd as that is to say. I believe they've lost a December Big Ten game, I want to say 3 out of the last 4 years, and it's not like they're playing Michigan or Michigan State in these games. However, Rutgers tonight, I get that venue has one that Big Ten teams fear. They're awful. Rutgers is terrible. Purdue's favored by 16.5. Fully expect them to take care of business. So Purdue will play tonight. Butler will play tonight. I saw they came in the net rankings. You said Indiana 11. Very, very good for Indiana early on. I saw Butler was 21. Also, really important for Butler in trying to produce a non-conference resume here. So, right now, you're looking at 3 teams in the state of Indiana looking pretty good early in the season. Obviously, a long, long way to go, but nice starts in West Lafayette, Bloomington, and over there at 49th and whatever it is.
And the net rankings, obviously a little more analytically driven than just the AP rankings are just writers who vote on the poll every week.
Yeah,
So,
again, a little bit more NCAA tournament centric there. I saw the big dude for Purdue has made 19 straight field goals, Daniel Jacobson.
Ooh.
That's
I don't know if I
absurd.
can do that downstairs in the basement all by myself.
19 straight. And they've played, haven't they played in that stretch? Like Texas Tech, Memphis. I mean, it's not like they're playing, Arkansas Pine Bluff and a bunch of 6'2 dudes. 19 in a row for Daniel Jacobson.
He's going to miss his first shot because you just said that. Can't get to 20 because you gave him the announcer's jinx.
The Kevin Bowen kiss of death.
By the way, Butler will play on the radio here, 93.5, 107.5 The Fan tonight, 6:30 airtime, 7 o'clock tip. As Kevin said, they will host Eastern Michigan this evening. Indiana State will be at home to play Eureka. Valpo at Marquette. And Missouri plays who tonight, Kevin Bowen?
Yeah, we're going to be brewing the midnight oil in the Bowen household.
9 p.m. tip for Missouri Notre Dame this evening. Missouri's 8-0 this year, by the way.
Yes, Notre Dame really needs it. Really, really needs it. Big one tonight. You guys coming over?
I will be asleep, probably. But thanks for the invite. Appreciate that.
I'll come through. Shout out to Uncle JB.
You're gonna
get to meet Nelly.
You're gonna be rocking Nelly to sleep tonight?
I ain't say all that. I said I would meet her, and I would come over and say, hey, nice to meet you, and then, sit down and let the parents do their thing.
I found that Badgley missed extra point. Would you like to hear it? It is glorious.
Oh, let's hear it.
Alec Pierce with 38 receiving yards on that possession. And off for the extra point is Michael Badgley. And as you heard in the background, it smacks off the left upright, and it's no good.
It's a gong.
Shout out to Matt Taylor, man, for being a professional, because I feel like I would laugh.
Sounds like a firework went
Yeah, it
off.
sounds like a cannon, like after you score a touchdown and you're like the Buccaneers or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what it sounds
Was
like.
that Raymond James Stadium? No, it was a Michael Badgley missed extra points.
Yeah.
It's the Purdue drum up close and personal.
Yeah.
I think that exemplifies exactly how things went for the Colts on Sunday. Play that
Would you rather do that or do what the Ho kid did last night? Bad week for Hose.
Yep.
First Lane Kiffin and then
Honestly,
the Giants kicker.
I immediately thought of Kevin when that happened.
What I
but
saw
don't know
last
why.
night, that's
Ouch.
worse. That's terrible. How do you pump fake a field goal attempt?
How did he not get hurt? That's my first
Yeah.
thought.
When you just drag your kicking foot into the ground a good foot and a half behind the
that
ball.
was no drag. That man just chunked it. That divot went further than the ball.
Drove it in.
He's
Yeah.
lucky that wasn't a grass field there.
That looked like some of my golf shots back in the day.
Old
I
Charles Barkley.
thought it was an AI video when I first saw it. I thought, no way an NFL kicker is kicking this far behind the ball.
I was watching the Manning cast. They were having a great time with that one last night because Peyton loves kickers. I don't know if you were aware of that or not.
Oh,
By the way,
him and Mike Vanderjack very close.
The Giants are a complete joke. I know this isn't a New York station, but I just want to get that off my chest. They are complete garbage. That kick attempt, Abdul Carr, number 3 pick, I guess sleeping through meetings and not showing up, getting benched to start the game again, and then Jackson Dart getting lit up on the sideline because he can't get out of bounds, and then saying afterwards, well, it's football. You should probably watch my high school tape and how I played. All of you are clowns. All of you.
This is not high school anymore, Jackson. These are guys that
I'm just
are
like,
happy
I'm
to
like,
lay
all
you
right,
out.
I hope I don't look up in 5 years you're not playing in the NFL anymore, dude.
Man. By the way, that one game in the NFL last night, New England did beat the New York Giants 33-15. The one thing that did stand out in that game, I don't know if you guys were paying attention, Drake May can play football. There were a couple of throws he made that were just
a couple really
outstanding.
impressive deep balls. So now New England heads to the bye, 11-2. They are the 1 seed, a half game up on the Denver Broncos. So just 4 weeks left, and right now the AFC will go through Foxborough, which in this market we have said quite often over the last 15, 20 years.
Anything else you guys want to throw in before we move along here? All right, we'll talk more about the Colts, Pacers, and some highly ranked basketball teams locally as we continue through the morning here. It's 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Alec Pierce with 38 receiving yards on that possession. And off for the extra point is Michael Badgley. And as you heard in the background, it smacks off the left upright, and it's no good.
I haven't heard this one for quite a while, Mark Dykton. Where'd you come up with that one there? Going way
It's
back
in
in the
my
Rolodex.
bank of songs here.
I like it. Well, you
Cold
haven't.
day. Figured Ice Cube is always solid.
Yeah, but speaking of Ice Cube, it's mid-20s right now. I just went across the hall at WIBC. All the school delays are on their website right now at WIBC.com, and they did tell me 2-hour delay for all IPS schools at this point in time. So
Yeah,
We used to have
Brownsburg's
to
not
watch-
on that list.
We used to have to watch the TV like it was a Super Bowl, like it was the
And
NFL
wait.
draft.
wait for the crawl.
Yep.
right?
It's like watching for the lottery numbers.
Now it's
to come
all
up.
on Twitter. It's all online. These kids don't know nothing.
Flipping channels are they closest to my letter in the alphabet?
I know, man. And then if you miss your letter, you're like, oh my gosh, do I wait here? Or does mom just try to see if the school's open?
You turn it on and you just miss the letter. You're like, oh, God.
Yeah, tough.
Gotta wait another 15 minutes now.
I will
For
tell
those
you
heading
this.
in today, morning commute, I didn't think was too bad by any means. Side roads, pretty meh, but I thought once you got to the main roads, just kind of wet. So safe travel, certainly, but I think we're all in the general agreement from our different areas of town that the morning commute may be a little bit longer, but nothing too strenuous today.
Yeah, I think they've got a lot smarter as time has gone on. Back in the old days when it was, just horses and wagons for me, James, growing up in Colorado, I missed my entire life. They sent us home in the middle of the day one time in Colorado.
Uphill both ways.
No, it was just, it was snow, you deal with it. Put the chains on the car and go. It's probably a little smarter now with insurance and everything else going on they used to have. So these kids, they've got it better today. People got smarter as we got older, I think, Kevin, is what happened.
So
Do they even have snow days anymore? Or they just do like
I was going to
e-learning?
ask that. Like, is that a thing? Where they just
They
like,
used to
all
build
right,
them
well,
in.
well, like, so if Jake and Grant can't come in for school, they say, okay, we're going to hop on the iPad for the day. I would hate that.
Yeah.
I kind of like the era I grew up in where like we had some technology, but we didn't have.
Well, and
like-
I always feel like e-learning for like the elementary kids. I mean, what are these dudes just hopping on these young kids just hopping on their Zooms at third grade?
e-learning means that you're going to be e-learning as well.
Right.
Yeah. I
So
think
no child care for you, Kevin Bowen.
Yeah, I trust me. It seems very difficult.
so. Check your specific school and district, but a lot of folks in the area are working on at least 1.5 hour, 2-hour delays this morning on their way to school. And like I said, coming in from the north side on the highway, a little bit slower, Kevin, but I didn't find it too terrible. Wasn't that bad.
Yeah, a couple extra minutes for me.
Yeah, and you're like right around the corner, James. You could probably walk to work as quickly as you drive to work, couldn't you?
No, not at all.
No?
That would be a very long walk, but I enjoy driving and living close enough to drive here.
All right. That's what's going on a Tuesday morning here. It's 93.5, 107.5 The Fan. The Colts coming off a tough loss at home, a divisional loss against the Houston Texans. They get ready for another divisional game against the Jacksonville Jaguars. And all in all, for a Monday, James, it sounds like pretty good news. Sauce Gardner, the guy you just traded 2 first-round picks and A.D. Mitchell for, is not going to be lost for the season at this point in time.
Yeah, so Shane did say he expects him to play and be back this season. And then on top of that, it was a great question by Kevin to follow up and then say, okay, well, is injured reserve a possibility, which means an automatic 4-game absence? And he definitively said no. So that'll put more on the plate of the other guys, starting with Javarius Ward, and then I would say less heralded players being Jalen Jones and Mekhi Blackman.
How do we feel about the state of the secondary right now without Sauce Gardner and a diminished Mooney right now, Mooney Ward?
Yeah, Mark, let's play this audio from Mooney Ward yesterday. We talked a little bit about it on yesterday's show. I feel like over the last couple of weeks, Ward in particular is a step slow since coming back from the concussion. And, cornerback to me is a position where when you are a step slow, everybody sees it. Everybody can see it. And, I thought, and I guess just go over everything with Mooney Ward, the man has been through just unimaginable, frankly, things over the last year plus. Lost his young daughter a year ago. We talked a little bit about the concussion symptoms that he had last month, was pondering if he would play football ever again. So whether you want to look at it from the personal tragedy or his professional life, he clearly is dealing with a lot. And I think he's been pretty candid throughout this past year about how that stuff has clearly impacted him. And he mentioned yesterday it's impacting his play right now on the field.
I just got to get my mind right and my heart right. Once I get my mind right, my heart right, I think my physical body and the way I perform, that'll be good. But like I said, as long as my mind cloudy, I don't really play good all the time. So I'm just trying to, focus in, lock in, and get, get focused, and I think I'll start playing better.
Definitely feel for him. That was in response to when I asked him, what areas of your game do you think you need to improve?
Yeah, because he had said he wasn't playing to his standard previously.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. And again, this was not me thinking, oh, he'll take this on a more personal journey route. It was, in my mind, I don't know, something about technique or film study or being a little quicker with your hands, whatever. And he really kind of opened up his heart a little bit and vented about, well, indirectly about some of the things he's been through. So I do feel for him, and I do wonder how much of that weighs on him, just all the stuff he's been through, clearly. And I'm not going to sit here and say, it's time for you to move on, or it's time. But it is a point where I think professionally, the Colts have to ask themselves, can he get back to that level, and how can we help him do that? And I just wonder what that process looked like when he mentions it's more mental than physical.
Yeah, and if you look at the rest of the season, James, 5 weeks to go. Again, Sauce Gardner, the expectation based off what Shane Steichen said yesterday is he will return sometime in the next 4 weeks. If you look at the schedule, at Jacksonville, at Seattle, home to the 49ers, those are the next 3 games. Kenny Moore, early in the year, dealing with a calf injury, missed 3 games. Okay, let's say Sauce misses those 3. That means he'd be back for Jacksonville, Houston in the year, which, again, if you're ranking these games, they're all important, but those 2 could be absolutely vital. Now, of course, you got to position yourself to be in a decent spot come week 17, but if you're going to rank these games, the NFC games would be 4 and 5 on that list of just general importance. Again, right now, with how crowded the AFC South is, everything is important, but if you're going to rank them, if Sauce is going to miss games, those would be the games. Okay, whatever. If you're going to lose any, those would be the ones that you would want to lose there. But yeah, I really feel for Mooney Ward, and I think it is clearly impacting his play on the field. I would like to see Kenny Moore and a little bit more just like of their base personnel. It seems like Mekhi Blackman's on the field too much, I guess, to summarize it succinctly, in my opinion. They continue to outsnap Jalen Jones with those reps. I'd like to see Kenny, frankly, just be that outside corner with Sauce out the next couple weeks. But, the Jags are really banged up at wideout, so, that's a little bit promising. But the week after that, Jackson Smith-Njigba has been the best receiver in the league this season, so there you go.
And he's been roasting everybody. Like, no one has been immune to what that guy has been doing. And you make a great point, James. You always want a guy to be able to get room to heal whatever is going on with him physically, mentally, emotionally, whatever it is. You're on his side. You want him to get better. But there is a point where a team has to say, hey, we're going to help you get better, but right now, what's better for the Colts is maybe we need to do something a little bit different while you're on that healing journey. Yeah,
I'm just curious about that. Can you get back to the level you're supposed to if your mind and heart aren't 100% in it? And I'm not questioning his love of the game. I mean, clearly, if you look at the guy's story, he comes from nothing, undrafted, JUCO route, all of the above, to getting not 1 but 2 pretty hefty deals in the NFL, being a second-team All-Pro, most pass defenses in a single season, I think, in 49ers history, all of the above. But, yeah, how do you – again, I don't want to say get past that because you can't get past losing a kid or losing anybody you love. But how do you try to find the best version of yourself in this, I guess, new normal for yourself or new state of your life where there is going to be some tragedy in the hard days. So, again, I feel for him. Definitely don't want to speak out of turn when it comes to what he's going through, but I appreciate the candor as well. I mean, this is a guy who he definitely, when he gets in front of a mic, there's probably some things that, I don't know, if I were in his shoes, maybe I don't say or I don't share, but he's as real as they come, and I can always respect that.
Yeah, we just all wish the best for him, and I hope that he continues to get through whatever he's going through, because 2 of the 3 of us here are dads. I can't even fathom what that must be like, Kevin, and you just hope the best for him and his family and everything else. But on the other side, there is a point for the Colts where they need what they need as a football team.
How about Alec Pierce? Little Hail Mary bat down. on Sunday.
Shout out to Cam Bynum, too, for saying that he would have picked it because he was like, could you imagine if he was like, you're taught to bat it down, and Alec Pierce did what he was taught, but he was like, could you imagine catching a touchdown pass in a game and then catching a pick in the same game, and you're not in high school anymore?
I mean, when that ball was thrown, I mean, in obvious Pierce fashion, he literally positioned himself perfectly to be the first one to touch it. I thought to myself, if he picks this off, we might have an interesting little 50-yard run back and see how long he can make this happen here. But Alec Pierce, the former defender at Cincinnati.
See, that's his problem. He's not selfish enough.
Maybe he should play. Maybe he should play corner right now.
Maybe you should have a little talk with him when you meet the guys.
I have. Shout out to Alec Pierce, who's actually from near where I grew up, so I know him and his family pretty well.
Man, he's turning into a terrific wide receiver. It's been a lot of fun to watch. You saw last night, Patriots got a win over the New York Giants in a game that wasn't even nearly as close as the score might indicate. Drake May looked fantastic. The Patriots are sitting there at 11-2 on top of the AFC. Denver keeps winning games somehow, some way, by hook or by crook. They're 10-2. And then after that, it's Jacksonville, 8-4. They'll put the Ravens in the fourth spot right now because they're leading their division at just 6-6. And then after that, the Chargers are 8-4, and the Colts are 8-4. So too are the Bills, 8-4. And now with that win, Houston is 7-5, just a game behind Indianapolis, and losing 3 of these last 4. They've kind of lost that cushion they built up the first 10 weeks of the season, Kevin.
Yeah, there's no kind of about it. They have lost it. So, yeah, right now they are in the wild card. They have the 6th seed. Huge week, not only obviously Colts, Jags. You mentioned Steelers and the Ravens right there. They are tied atop the AFC North, so that is a big, big game, speaking from an AFC standpoint. And also Texans-Chiefs, Sunday Night Football right there. So, yeah, we mentioned it a little bit yesterday. I know people want just get Kansas City out of there. Colts can't be greedy. They need to root for the Chiefs on Sunday Night Football to beat Houston. So we'll continue to keep an eye on that. And again, any kicker movement today, any kicker tryouts. Look, every option has warts when you're dealing with a backup kicker. The problem for me with Michael Badgley right now is he has got warts in 2 areas, 3-point shooting and layups. You can't have warts in both. So who cares? If he can't kick from 50-plus yards, fine. He's got to make the layups. And right now, those are the issues that you have. So can you try and just Band-Aid that? Can you try and find somebody that at least can give you steadiness from a layup standpoint? We'll see how active the Colts are with kicker tryouts today and what the rest of the week looks like.
And off for the extra point is Michael Badgley.
It's the loudest sound in sports. And I feel like it's only happened in the last 4 years. That all of a sudden
it's been so loud.
I think it started with, what's his name? Was it Parkey?
Mm-hmm.
Double doink.
How could I forget?
I was going to say, that was right in your wheelhouse there, Mark.
Yep. Matt Nagy looking like a buffoon on the sidelines. What just happened? Your kicker stinks, and we knew that all year.
By the way, shout out to Daniel Jones's college roommate. I heard them say on the telecast that his roommate from Duke made the pad that he wore around his injured fibula. And earlier in his career, he had developed some sort of medical device that he used for I think it was a calf injury earlier in his career. Can you imagine? Like, those are your college roommates?
Well, I liked how Ian was like, JJ Watt, what are your roommates doing? He's like, probably drinking beer and being stupid.
I mean, my college roommate, Joe Worsler, got 37 parking tickets in a month's span. I mean, like, that's the most thing he's proud of.
Now, my college roommate is living out in California, just outside of L.A., just bought a house. So he's doing fairly well for himself.
Well, maybe he's a hang out with Daniel Jones' college roommates.
Yeah,
I guess that's Duke education for you.
Yeah, but shout out to my college roommate is a mechanical engineer, and he is living the life. But yeah, I did see that video, and it looks like the pad is on his left leg, and it was 3D printed, if I'm not mistaken. And so, yeah, smart roommates, and I actually want to ask him about it. Like, is this something where you really trust you have to really trust your college roommates with something like that? Like, how legit is this business?
Can you imagine
like
him going to the Colts medical team? Yeah, I'm good, guys. I've got my college roommate.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I want to know. He probably won't get into it, but I'm very curious about how that whole process goes, because this isn't just, my friend gave me a hat to wear and promote. Like, this is legit. I need this to go out there and perform at the highest level.
Yeah, my buddy's got a printing T-shirt business.
No, do you remember the guy?
Here's a promo code for Black Friday.
Was it Brian Robinson? Who was the running back who got the big hat started? And he wore the big hat after the game.
I forgot about the big hat.
And it became like
a big hat dead?
Yeah.
I don't know, but it became like a thing for a little while. And he's like, oh, yeah, my friend made this company and it's big hats and it took off. This is not that. This is I need you to make sure my leg holds up throughout the most crucial point of my career in a very violent game.
We need Lane Kiffin rocking the big hat at his LSU introductory presser.
Did you see he left his clothes just like outside? It's like
Is that real?
Like a
I
cheating
love that.
husband.
I love that.
That is awesome.
Take his wardrobe. I don't want. He's a bum.
The
I
man
love
said
the SEC.
that
I love it.
He said that Ole Miss fans were trying to run him off the road
Right.
on the way to the airport, and he said, I understand it. It's the passion of the SEC.
I was going to say
That is nuts.
I believe him.
Boy,
The other
it's
part of
different
that-
down there, man.
The other part of that is he also says, but then I get here, LSU, it's been so warm and everybody can't wait to see you and congratulations. And I'm thinking, yeah, go on a 3-game losing streak at Shreveport and find out how that works out
Go ask
for you.
Chip Kelly how things are going right now, or
Oh,
Brian
man.
Kelly. I'm sorry.
Yeah, they at Baton Rouge, that whole area, Shreveport, Baton Rouge, they'll turn on you so fast.
So, Kevin, I know I'm on a tangent here, but you are like my resident college football watcher, expert type of guy.
I love college football.
Can you explain, I guess, briefly, if that's even possible, what the heck happened with that? Because I'm so confused. He wanted to coach Ole Miss. There's no way you should be able to do that if you take another job. But also, it's unprecedented because you had a chance to win a national championship, best program season they've had in a long time, and you leave. But you would have got paid the same amount of money, but LSU has more resources. So I'm just like, okay, I understand that you made the move, but it's just weird. I feel like there's so many tentacles, and every time I read something, I'm more confused than before.
By the way, it's a great college basketball slate tonight, not just locally here if you're looking for something to watch on a Tuesday.
This is true.
Yeah, basically what I've gathered about the Kiffin story is Florida and LSU both wanted him really, really bad.
Right?
Florida was more hesitant about letting the Lane Kiffin operation be run in their backyard. There's a lot that goes with Lane, and a lot of it maybe might be a little bit questionable.
Because didn't he kind of get, like, not banished, but he was, like, not the hot ticket dude. He go to Florida Atlantic for a little while.
Yeah, I mean, how Nick Saban fired him on the tarmac, and you know, he's got the Tennessee drama, the USC drama. So, yeah, there's a lot with Lane. I need
a book on this.
So, basically, I think he views LSU as a little bit more of it's really hard to screw up, which, again, Brian Kelly's one of the few that screwed it up. You know, when you look at it from a head coach standpoint, Les Miles at Orgeron and who else won a
Nick
national
Saban
title
was
there?
there.
Saban. Yeah, I mean, you know, all of it, you know, all those coaches, seemingly you just fall out of bed and you win there.
But also the only one that didn't get fired eventually was Saban, who moved on to Alabama. The other two guys that won national championships were fired not too long after they won those national
I think
championships.
the Ole Miss nerves comes back to, like, if we get back to being Ole Miss and you start to have whatever 7-win, 8-win seasons, will they treat you like seemingly every other SEC program treats you? That 7 and 8 wins is not good enough. And I think Lane is also somebody that craves a challenge and craves, you know, wanting challenge maybe isn't the right word, but wants a new opportunity.
He's only 50? Wow.
When it comes to coaching,
I mean, hell, he did the NFL thing.
When it comes to coaching exits, Lane Kiffin is on the Mount Rushmore, and he's all 4 heads because he's got Al Davis giving a PowerPoint as to why he was fired in the NFL and escaping to LSU and all that. It is remarkable what he's all done.
I read the story yesterday. This is from CBS Sports about the Kiffin exit from Ole Miss. And in there, they were describing the scene at the airport of the Ole Miss fans going the one-finger salute towards Coach Kiffin as he boarded the plane. And I guess Charlie Weiss's son. I didn't realize Charlie Weiss's son was the offensive coordinator there. Charlie Weiss Jr. is also heading to LSU. Great writing detail here, James. You can appreciate this. Boots on the ground journalism. It was mostly college-age young men decked out in New Balances, but there were also multiple children, including one infant wrapped in a blanket and sucking on a pacifier. It's never too early, after all, to teach hate.
Woo, what a bar.
Welcome
Can
to
you
the SEC.
imagine if I told Maddie, hey, I'm heading to the local airport with Nelly. We need to get out of the house.
Into the regional airport, got to flip this guy off.
I've got
You might have your clothes outside when you get back.
I got a middle finger to get up in the air.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
I love it.
The only thing I will not necessarily I guess defend Lane on is when people tell me, oh, well, like he's in it for the money. We all are. I'm gonna be very honest here.
Which again, the money. If
He probably would have been.
It would have
managed
been
it.
the same.
If you hear the Ole Miss side of it,
Right, it would have been the same. Right. But for those saying like, oh, even if they didn't give him the money, then you're a liar. If anybody comes to you and say, hey, you can do the exact same job in a different state for $6 million more, You're leaving. Now, again, a lot of that has to do with the money would have been matched, but the resources, I think, at LSU are probably better.
Can we all get on board with this? Opening night of college football next year?
Yes. Yes, I thought about this. Yes.
Night game.
Yes.
LSU at Ole Miss.
I need this. Yes.
Inject into veins.
Yeah. I actually think that he would have to have a ton of security to
Come
go back there,
on.
but yes.
They said or LSU goes to Ole Miss and Tennessee next year.
Ooh, I need that.
Sign me up for those.
I need that. Just make their schedule all of Lane's previous stops. Have them play the Raiders too. They stink.
My only prediction is that whether it's 2 years, 3 years, 4 years from now, it'll end the same way it always ends with Lane Kiffin. It will not end well for him there.
By the way, Florida at Duke. That's Cameron Indoor tonight. Connecticut at Kansas. Braylon Mullins back for the Huskies. That is at Allen Fieldhouse. And North Carolina at Rupp.
Is Darren Peterson back?
I think Darren Peterson, the hope is he will play. Didn't play in Vegas in that tournament there. So I love that tonight. You obviously got Purdue and Butler both playing tonight, but from a local standpoint, on-campus venues there should be some great atmospheres in college basketball tonight.
When my kids were little, like Nelly's, my favorite thing to do was just sit on the couch, hold them, and watch sports.
I really thought for a second you were going to say drive to the regional airport and greet coaches.
Never done that. Maybe I need to get that off my bucket list.
I'm trying to think who the Denver Broncos coach was in 1998 or something that you could be booing. Mike Shanahan.
It was Mike Shanahan at that point in time.
I guess you wouldn't be booing. You'd be cheering.
He won 2 Super Bowls to walk it off there. Well, it didn't end well for him either.
Wade Phillips. You can give him the bird.
There you go. Coming up in a moment, we'll talk Colts with Joel A. Erickson right here on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan. This is the predictable moment in time for anybody who works in sports television, sports radio, whatever. The people you kind of know, all of them now, want to know, hey, can you get me tickets to the game on Saturday? Have you gotten that yet, Kevin? In Indiana, you know where I can find some tickets? Are you getting any of that?
Yeah, good luck, right?
I just looked this up during the break. Anything from, if you want to go to like nosebleed seats, right now you can get secondary tickets at about $416. What do you think, James, you would be paying if you wanted to get row 113, I'm sorry, section 113, row 3? Ticket.
This is over at Lucas Oil?
Yep, Saturday night. Indiana, Ohio State.
Oh, you're paying at least, what, $5,000?
$3,242. Get in on it now.
It's a lot.
$5,000.
Yeah, I had my high school principal reach out to me via, I want to say it might have been Facebook, because
you better say yes to that.
Taylor Swift was coming to town a few years ago here in Indianapolis, and he was asking me, because the Colts play at Lucas Oil Stadium, if I could help him get tickets for him, his wife, and his daughter. And I like the guy, respect him, but I wanted to. I responded and said, no, that is not necessarily something I can really help you with. But I wanted to send him Ticketmaster.com so badly because that was one of the dumbest requests I ever got in my life.
Gosh, what if you would have said that to him? How would that have been like any relief if you like finally saying to the principal, you're an idiot?
No, I mean, he's actually a really cool dude. I never had any issues with him. I just thought that he was delusional or I honestly thought way too highly of me.
Hardest football ticket in the last 10 years for that building. Is that what we have decided on? You got to go back to 2013 for Peyton Manning's return.
Sure seems like that.
2012 for the Super Bowl. I guess Georgia-Alabama national title was a big, big ticket, a few years back. But
you got a much wider pool of people looking for those tickets, too.
Well, and also it's driving distance for Indiana and Ohio State fans.
Yeah. Let's turn our attention very quickly now to the Indianapolis Colts. They'll be traveling to Jacksonville on Sunday, and boy, do they need a win. They need some good news, and here to tell us nothing but good news, I'm sure. Joel A. Erickson from the Indy Star covers the Colts, joins us on the Payless Liquors hotline. Right, Joel? Nothing but good news today, right?
Maybe not.
What can you tell us? Do we have any good news?
Well, it's good that Sauce Gardner's calf injury is not the season ending does not appear to be something that's going to keep him out the entire time. So that is good news. I know there was a lot of people who watched that happen and thought their mind went to the worst right away. But it sounds like even after a lot of times when you talk to a player in the locker room after they get hurt, they'll say, I think I'm going to be fine, and then it turns out that the MRI disagrees, but this time this is one of the times that the player was right about their own injury, and it's not a season ending or something like that.
I just remember standing in the scrum after the game with Sauce Gardner in front of us, and of course there's a bunch of cameras and reporters, and Sauce is describing the injury. He's like, yeah, it felt like it was more high up in my calf, not really lower. And then I have Joel behind me. He's going, it was high? And he goes, yeah, it was high. And for a second there, I thought he asked him, are you high? And I was like, whoa, like this is not an appropriate time to be asking those questions. But nevertheless, Joel, positive news on that front. But we were talking about this yesterday on the show in regard to the pool report. And so I'll set the scene a little bit. I saw the flag, not a flag, on Kenny Moore II for the defensive pass interference, and I was thinking, man, I'm always making jokes to Joel, who is our pool reporter at these games, about having to do a pool report for something ticky-tack. But I went over this time, and I was serious. I said, hey, Joel, we might need a pool report for real. So can you give the listeners a behind-the-scenes of what an actual pool report looks like if you're the reporter involved in doing it?
Yeah, so you have to reach out to the league, usually through whoever's in charge at the game. You reach out to the league, and they want to know exactly what you want to ask about. So, for example, it wasn't enough to say, the play where Kenny Moore was called for pass interference, because you also had to say you wanted to ask about the delay of game penalty. You can't just say one play, and then they want to know that ahead of time. I get a phone call. I know I saw some people saying like, I hope you guys were sitting in that room laughing at these answers. But that's the thing. There is no room. It's a phone. Usually it's me in the tunnel because obviously we have to get in the locker room and talk to players. It's a phone call. It goes through the league to the even though again Clay Martin, the referee, was in the same building we were. It's a phone call, and then, like I said, the hardest part is that you go down thinking you know what the explanation is going to be for a call, and getting ready to ask follow-up questions on that, and then if it changes, you don't have the replay in front of you to come up with something to ask right away. So, like for example, with Kenny Moore's pass interference, I was getting ready to ask a follow-up question about whether or not tangled feet should be allowed to be be part of a penalty, because in my understanding it's not. And then the referee says that they called it because of an arm grab, and I got to be honest, I didn't see an arm grab at any point in that play when I watched the replay up in the press box. And so then, the follow-up, I kind of lose it because I was thinking one thing, and then I'm trying to think, was there an arm grab? I don't remember there being really any contact at all. And it kind of throws you off a little bit. So that's another thing is, the other thing is, like, I know some people wanted us to ask about face masks. If you saw the answers that we get, they kind of come back and they just state it as if the penalty was the most obvious thing in the world. We don't get really an explanation. They just tell us, this happened and this is the way it works, and it doesn't really matter how you follow up either. That's kind of just what they do.
Joel, nothing against you, certainly. I just think the pool report is so dumb. Like, at least in the NBA 2-minute report, they will admit if they're right or wrong. That's the day after. The fact the pool report happens 10 minutes after the game ends, they're never going to admit that they're wrong. They're just going to state exactly what you just said there about Kenny Moore. We thought there was a grab at the top of the route. It's not like they're going to actually dissect the film, go over it, and then have the we were right, we were wrong, like the NBA 2-minute report, which I get. People, there are a lot of fans out there that hate all these sort of 2-minute pool reports, whatever. But at least from an NBA side of it, you'll get the right or wrong. In the NFL, you get none of that.
Yeah, I agree. I think the pool report system is essentially designed to make it so that there's less questions asked. Because if all of us are sitting in a room and the referee has to come in and answer these questions, what happens in a press conference is your head might be going one way, my head might be going the other way, but that means we end up talking about both things that we're thinking about. Whereas with the pool report, you don't have that. It's on the phone. You don't really have the chance to ask, wide-ranging questions. It also, like, there's also a piece of it. I think James, you can back this up. Kevin, you can back this up. A lot of times when there's a call, we think about, like, well, do we need a pool report on this? And we kind of know what you just said. We know that they're going to just say it as if it wasn't controversial or even really a tough decision at all. And so it's like, do we need it? Do we need to go ask them for something that they're just going to kind of speak from, like, an alternate reality where this was really obvious? It is. It's designed, like I said, it's designed to sort of, to me, it seems like it's designed to sort of make it tamp down criticism of officials. I don't know if it works or not, but it doesn't give you a lot of leeway. No,
it does not work. Joel Erickson from the Indianapolis Star is with us here on the Payless Liquors Hotline. One thing before we move on, Joel, and you are a NFL aficionado. You love football, so I'm going to propose a rule change for you and see if you agree on it. I asked you when you walked down to us during the game on Sunday, hey, what questions would you have for the pool report? And I said to you, and I think I already know the answer, is delay a game reviewable? And I believe you did ask that, so I appreciate that, and it is not reviewable. Why don't we just do NBA shot clock for delay a game? and when the red light comes on around the play clock, the play's dead, and it's a 5-yard penalty. Why is the unwritten rule there you're allowed to have a 41st second to snap the ball?
I'm totally with you on this. I don't know either. Like, wait, the red, like you said, the red comes up in the NBA, and we don't ever have to worry about this. And if there's ever a question, we just review it. They have replay assist now.
Right.
It doesn't have to take a long time. Like, we have replay assist. They call down apparently to the refs, and they tell coaches things all the time that we don't necessarily know about. So why can't we make delay of game reviewable? Like, it's not a subjective thing. It's not a judgment call. It is cut and dry. Did you snap it or not? Sundays, the way they basically answered that question was they just took us through the process of, if we see zeros, we're supposed to look down and see if the ball snapped. And if they looked at zeros and looked down to see if the ball has been snapped on Sunday, and I mean, that'd be like the slowest look down of all time, right? That play was definitely a second or two off. If you have the red lights, if you have the review, the replay assist, I think that's a pretty obvious one. I think they should use that stuff for penalties. They don't like to do that in the NFL, but they should have replay for penalties that are cut and dry.
Talking to Joel A. Erickson, Eddie Starr, about the Indianapolis Colts. What do you think if you had to go 0 to 100, what are the chances Michael Badgley is kicking field goals and extra points for the Colts on Sunday?
40%.
Ooh. That means we get tryouts this week, right?
I thought so. I mean, I still don't. I went back and looked at what Shane Steichen said after he missed 2 kicks in Berlin, and he said, we have faith in Badge. It was what he said. Well, I was flying and James was walking around Berlin and all that stuff. That's what he said in the day after press conference that he usually does. He has not said that. He said he loves him. He said he's got to make those extra points. He knows that. And to me, that usually that kind of shift in tone with Shane's or shift in words with Shane Steichen means something. It's not out of nowhere.
I would agree. Honestly, when it comes to what Shane was saying, and I think Joel, your follow up yesterday, he left the door open. He basically said the same thing he said after the game. We have faith in whoever we put out there, and that whoever, my eyebrows got raised a little bit on that for sure.
Yeah, the other thing is, like, with Badgley, if he was missing 50-plus yard kicks that they were going to force to take, I think the Colts would be like, well, this is the trade-off we made. We wanted accuracy inside 50. We didn't think that he was going to. We knew he was going to be a little bit dodgy outside of 50. That's not what's happening.
Right.
Even though he does have a miss from 50, he's missing the kicks that they signed him to make.
Yeah, that's really, really well said. Joel A. Erickson from the Star with us here on the Payless Liquors Hotline. Joel, I think you are one of the most stand-up individuals I've come across in my time on this earth. You have 3 young boys. I would sign off on a marriage right now for one of my 2 daughters. Even Mark has said nice things about you before, despite your Cubs and your Brewers venom towards each other.
We'd put a house divided sign up. That's fine. The Brewers and the Cubs sign.
Yes, exactly. Yes.
House divided.
Right.
If there's only one flagpole, who gets to fly the flag, though?
Whoever wins that day.
Why not? What if they both win?
Rock, paper, scissors.
Okay.
Now, Joel, I don't think there is a list of things you hate more in the world than the location of this game on Sunday. I have never heard a man talk about another city in the manner that Joel A. Erickson talks about the city of Jacksonville, Florida.
No, this is the question. You have to ask him how long he's going to be in Jacksonville. That's the question.
Joel, what is the itinerary, and do you hate anything in the world more than Jacksonville?
City-wise, not any city anybody's heard of. Not any city anybody's heard of. It's like there's like a few small towns in Wisconsin I still have beef with from high school football, but that's it. And so this is the great injustice of this season is that for the first time in like 5 years, I have to spend 2 nights in Jacksonville.
Oh,
I don't get to
my
spend one night in
goodness.
Jacksonville.
How the hell did that
Call
happen?
the press. Call the
Why
press.
don't you just drive? Why don't you just start, leaving at, 10 p.m. Saturday night? I don't know if you get there on time. Probably not.
It didn't work out. My flight is supposed to land. James and Kevin know this. I frequently fly fairly late to games so I can make my kids' games on Saturday. So my flight lands there at the normal time, which is very late, and I just go straight to bed and then wake up and go to this infernal thing they call a stadium, which I know they're putting up a new one. That's going to fix all whatever. It's still going to be in Jacksonville. Like I don't care how new it is. It's not going to be great. But normally I leave the press box, do my thing, and go straight to the airport and fly back out. I couldn't do that this year. The flights did not work. My assumption is that any Colts fan who is going has heard me talk about this and thought, you know what, that's a really good idea. And so they're not staying in Jacksonville either. But I have many issues with Jacksonville. Number one, why is it so far inland? The ocean is right there. All of the cool people are like, well, Jacksonville's not that bad. There's this thing over here. Like, that's not Jacksonville. That's like Jacksonville Beach, or it's down by TPC Sawgrass. Those are not Jacksonville. We have to spend our time in Jacksonville. The last time we were there, they were like doing road construction on the bridges or whatever. And instead of like making it look nice or whatever for wherever you have to put the road signs, they just cut off pieces of old bridge and drop them by the side of the highway. Like, you're just running a landfill at that point. Like, come on with your city.
I like the fact he just went on for over 60 seconds on the things he doesn't like about Jacksonville.
You should hear him in the media room. This is the PG version he's giving you right now. I honestly think, tell Zaire Franklin, you go in the locker room early. They need to have Joel break down the huddle before this team heads into the locker room to describe Jacksonville on Sunday.
If they told Joel, if you put a shovel in the ground and start digging, we'll do Orlando a year early, he would start doing it, probably. Like, I'll do that.
Would you rather the Jaguars be in London?
Yes. Oh, 1,000%. London is a fantastic city. Jacksonville is a collection of buildings that just got stuck together.
He's not wrong. He's not wrong. Just real quickly, Joel, I just asked the computer for 5 random small towns in Wisconsin. You tell me if they're on your list or not, okay?
Okay.
Fish Creek.
No.
Monroe.
No.
Chippewa Falls.
Chippewa, where I'm from, is not small. Chippewa is one of the larger towns around me.
All right. Cedarburg.
We're getting closer there, but they're in the wrong part of the state.
So
no.
Give me the one town that you just cannot stomach in Wisconsin.
Cadott.
All right. I never would have gotten there. So
they had a big
Cadott.
defensive lineman.
They're 12 miles away. They're our rival in everything. Cadott.
Whiteout decleated Joel on a crack.
I was going to say, did you hear that?
An illegal
Joel speaking in present tense. They're our rival. Brother, it has been decades.
He sounds like an SEC football fan going one finger salute to whatever that city is you just named.
Joel, have a good day, man. Thanks for putting up with our nonsense.
You bet, guys. Thanks for having me on.
There he is. Joel Erickson, Indy Star, not a fan of the Jacksonville area. I think we know.
Yeah, there's a lot of truth behind that. I probably been to that stadium 3 or 4 times. Not a big fan, and it's even more shocking the Colts have never won there. Do you believe in that? By the way, like, do you believe like there are players in the football team that actually think about the history and it's going to impact play on the field on Sunday?
No, it's my favorite thing when I go through game notes when they say, especially when I was doing basketball, I'd say the Cavaliers when visiting Indiana are 34-17 on Tuesday nights. Okay.
Nah, this is different. I do think this is a psychological thing. Seriously. Yes. I went there 2 years ago, and they didn't score a point. A single point.
So it matters for Daniel Jones on Sunday?
Yes, it matters for all of them.
But Daniel Jones has never been a part of these games.
Oh, you mean? Oh no, not for Daniel Jones. I don't think anything matters to him. That guy watches film and whatever. But I do think just as a team, when you put that uniform on, yes, it doesn't make any sense to me. But yes, so him included, all of them. I don't care because it doesn't matter. If you look at the streak, it doesn't matter who suited up for them. They all go down there and lose. So I think it matters.
All right, let's check it down. I am open and ready to accept any Jacksonville slander at all week long, Kevin.
A little nervous.
I spent a year there
when you started off with, I'm open and ready. I was
You've been
I
hanging
do
around-
anything for
lie.
a Big Ten
You've been
championship
hanging around
ticket.
Mark too
nervous
long
where
is
you were
what
going
your
to pivot
problem
there.
is.
I was like, let's just get into the Pacers or Monday Night Football or wherever
He's
you
got
want to
his
go.
long johns on. He's ready to roll.
Well, you just heard about the Colts and the Jaguars Sunday at 1 o'clock in the city of Jacksonville. Sauce Gardner will not play, but will not be lost for the season either, it sounds like, James.
About the best case scenario you can ask for after he left Sunday's game with a non-contact injury, it is just a calf, and quoting Shane Steichen, he said the Achilles is good to go.
All right, we wait to see whether or not there will be actual kicker tryouts either today or sometime this week. Usually on Tuesdays, though, right, Kevin?
Yeah, I mean, I guess Colts are going walkthrough. Are they doing walkthrough again tomorrow, James?
I'll have to check the schedule.
I think they are, but yeah, typically those would be on a Tuesday, and then Wednesday through Friday is kind of your big practice portion of the week. So we'll see if that news trickles out at all today.
All right, let's talk about the Indiana Pacers. They had won 2 in a row before last night, playing at the Fieldhouse against the Cleveland Cavaliers. Cleveland got out to a quick start. Twice they built leads of 21 points. The Pacers tried to come back a little bit in the third quarter, but never got closer than 6. 135-119 the final score. Donovan Mitchell leading the way with an electric 43 points for the Cavaliers last night. But they were out-rebounded, and they just had too many turnovers last night, Kevin.
Yeah, obviously Donovan Mitchell out-talented, so many players on the floor last night. But how Cleveland largely built that lead, though, was through effort and second-chance points. And given the Pacers' makeup right now, that's inexcusable. Because, they played on second night of a back-to-back Cleveland versus Indiana, had some rest there. I think that's what was disappointing, even given, what Mitchell did. So really rough defensively after some promising efforts on that end of the floor here over the last week or so.
And if you watch the game, you would have noticed that T.J. McConnell did play for about 5.5 minutes last night, but then he was taken out of the game by Rick Carlisle, never entered again, coming off that hamstring injury that cost him the first month of the season. But after the game, Rick Carlisle, James, said, no, that was my decision. I just thought he'd played back-to-back a couple of nights ago, and he just didn't quite look himself, and I didn't want to risk it, so I just sat him down.
Boy, I know a lot of bettors probably were mad about that because the unders got crushed.
Oh, boy.
Well, the overs got crushed.
Pacers Playback presented by C&J Water, the official water treatment partner of the Indiana Pacers, cnjwater.com. We can also tell you that Wednesday night, the Fieldhouse will be busy again, this time the Denver Nuggets visiting the Indiana Pacers. So if you want to go see one of the best players in the league, Nikola Jokic, that's probably a good time to go
Jokic?
see that. Jokic. So, did I say Jokovic? I did that. Jokic. Thank you very much.
He's a tennis guy, right?
Yes. I got confused there, James. Thank you very much. As you know, I'm well aware of Jokic. So that's coming up on Wednesday night. Meanwhile, NCAA basketball tonight, Kevin, you're going to be busy. Purdue-Rutgers starts at 8, and then Missouri-Notre Dame at 9 o'clock this evening.
Yeah, probably, honestly, with Butler. Let's start there. 7 o'clock for Butler. Great start to the season. We'll see about Jalen Jackson, that ankle injury. I think that could be of concern for Butler. He's battled that for the last few months. I think he's an important piece to sustaining the really strong start they've had. So they're a big favorite, 17.5-point favorite over Eastern Michigan tonight. That is true TV if you're not able to make it out to Hinkle. As Jeff said, Purdue at Rutgers. I know that strikes fear. Honestly, any Big Ten game in the month of December strikes fear in Purdue fans with how they've played in that month recently, but Rutgers is horrific. So I fully expect Purdue to win this game. This would be a quad 3 loss if Purdue were to lose it. That's how bad Rutgers has been to start the season. By the way, did you see, James, that Alec Pierce's little brother visited Purdue?
I did see that. He is, from what I understand, I believe he's sitting out this year to maintain his final year of eligibility.
Yeah, so he's in the Ivy League at Princeton, so you can't do the grad transfer there. Really good player at Princeton. And so, he is looking to play basketball at Purdue or elsewhere. And I would think would be a really coveted guy, like 6'6" kind of wing.
He was the Ivy League player of the year, all Ivy League, first team, second team, all of that during his couple of years.
This would be for
there.
Next year, just to clarify.
Yeah, but he's a good player. I think he would certainly help any team he joins.
Also tonight, Butler at home at Hinkle. They'll be taking on Eastern Michigan. That one starts at 7 o'clock. If you want to listen to it, right here at 93.5, 107.5 The Fan. Our airtime starts at 6:30 this evening, and NCAA basketball rankings are out again. Purdue number 1, Arizona 2, Michigan 3, and Indiana checks in at number 22 as they are rising through the rankings right now. And we can also tell you that the college football playoff rankings will once again be announced later on tonight. This is the last one before conference championships, so I don't know. You see the rankings tonight. is a pretty good indication of what's going to happen depending on some of these conference championships.
Yeah, again, we haven't really had a lot of top 10 upsets over the last few weeks, so it would just have to be, I guess, re-looking at resumes here. And obviously, for a team like Notre Dame, there's a lot of attention on that. And the coaching cycle, I think, is also impacting some things with some of these playoff teams. We talked a lot about the Lane Kiffin drama. Sounds like the BYU coach is rumored to be the front runner at Penn State. So we'll see how that impacts BYU. They could be a big-time bid stealer for Notre Dame and other teams coming up on Saturday. So something to keep an eye on. But yeah, 7 o'clock tonight, we'll get the latest college football rankings.
To refresh your memory, Ohio State was number 1 last week, Indiana 2, Georgia 3, Oregon 4, and Texas Tech 5th. Ole Miss is 6th.
Well,
now, what happens now?
Well, I mean, A&M, right? Weren't they 3 last week? And now they will drop. I mean, that's been the one big upset that we have had, or a notable upset that we've had. So I assume A&M will drop out of the buys.
Yeah, they were 7th at 11-1 last time I checked the.
Well, they lost this week, and that was their first loss.
So, yeah, 11-1. So, all right, we'll find out what those official rankings are tonight a little bit later on. So that's coming your way next as we get ready to talk a little bit more about the Pacers and also some more college football. I don't know if you've heard, Mark, but there's a little football game over at Lucas Oil Stadium on Saturday night.
I'm ready.
We'll tell you about that and hear from the quarterback next. 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan. Haven't really checked the text line too much this morning. A lot going on, but people are starting to wake up and get in on that. We've got one here that's anonymous, says, tuning in late after digging myself out of yesterday's second round of snow, only to be told to stay and work from home. So I don't know if you've already talked about this morning. There's a lot of people staying home to work today, and I know that most of the schools around here, I know IPS is on 2-hour delay. Everybody else around, I know that our area up north, there's an hour and a half delay. So check your specific school would be my guess.
Looks like the guy had a question.
Yeah, I'm getting there. Shane Steichen's aggressiveness on fourth down. Do you think it's being exacerbated or aided along by the kicking woes? Fourth and short? Sure. Fourth and long, like we saw Sunday, harder to defend? Thanks, fellas. Stay safe out there. What do you think?
Well, I'm trying to think, James. Fourth and long, what am I missing here? The end of the game, right? Or was there another fourth and medium or longs that they went for on Sunday?
I feel like when teams do not have success, the low-hanging fruit is just to say the play calling coach is horrible.
I'm asking that in all seriousness.
I don't know. I'm thinking to myself,
fourth and long at the end of the game, they had to do.
Yeah.
But we did have this conversation a little bit yesterday.
Has he been too aggressive on fourth and short? I don't know.
I think the fact that Michael Badgley is not a long-distance kicker, I think there are some times around that, 30 to 40-yard line range.
Oh, I see what he's saying. I misinterpreted his question.
Where they are going for it maybe a little bit more, or they're not, they don't believe they can just settle for field goals in that distance. But as far as Sunday's concerned, I didn't think there were that many fourth downs the Colts actually went for that were questionable. I think a lot of people brought up the Tyler Warren QB sneak.
Yeah.
Again, I have no issue with that. Some people are like, too cute. It's a tight end QB sneak. A ton of teams around the league run it. Tyler Warren did it a million times at Penn State. By having Daniel Jones initially in the shotgun, you're saying to the defense, we're not QB sneaking it here.
Right.
So the defense is not going to pinch those D tackles and D linemen in, whereas if you line up right over center right away, they're going to do that.
Yeah.
And so by motioning Warren in there, you are, planting a little bit of doubt. At the end of the day, professional athletes should execute a snap and a QB sneak.
Yeah, so I misinterpreted the question. I thought it was more like, why is he being so aggressive? This is more so about, is the kicker holding you back? I didn't think that there were too many instances, even in the Kansas City game, where I thought, wow, they have to go for this because they don't trust Michael Badgley. I think that Shane has kind of kept the same level of aggressiveness even throughout the kicking change, in my opinion. And even the last few weeks, I can't say, since they don't have Spencer Schrader anymore, they're definitely going to go for this. I think he's been aggressive like he always has been. And to the point that Shane always makes, yeah, when it works, you're a genius. When it doesn't work, you're not. But I think the execution is what really lacked on Sunday, not only from the fourth down standpoint, but just overall. I mean, you had a drop pass from not Tyler Warren, drop pass with Josh Downs on a critical third down there in the fourth quarter where you have a chance to obviously be closer and convert that. If he picks that up, I thought that there were times where the tackles didn't really play well. I know Bernard Ryman had one that he kind of got bailed out for because Josh Downs made another great catch, and that got called back, and then Alec Pierce got it all back on the next play because of a pass interference. So, I don't know. I don't think that that's been a big issue. I think this is a Michael Badgley isolated incident issue where he's not making normal kicks. It's not really affecting your fourth down percentage, in my opinion, or your aggressiveness. It's this dude ain't making the chip shots, which in this case is the PATs.
Yeah, so just to go over everything again from Sunday, they had 2 fourth downs in the whole game they went for. One was the final drive. They obviously had to go for that. The other was the Tyler Warren QB sneak, so it's not like there were many fourth down calls that Shane Steichen had on Sunday. And in regards to Badgley, I think there are some coaches that if you feel confident in your kicker, when you get around that, again, 35-ish yard line, your play calling might be a little bit more resigned to, hey, we don't need to be as aggressive here because we feel like our guy can make it from 55.
Right.
Like basically the kicker on Sunday. Cam Little for the Jags, I mean, he's got a leg. And so, Liam Cohen might have a little bit more of confidence, frankly, in his kicker, whereas Shane Steichen, when they get around that area of the field, it's like, hey, guys, if we don't get it, we're in the no man's land. We probably should go for it versus punt.
Here's the one from Drew who says, I feel Mooney and Kenny really haven't looked great. I don't understand why Lou doesn't like Jalen Jones. What do you think's going on there, Kev?
Yeah, the Jalen Jones thing has been kind of a mystery to me. for the last few months. I think he should get more snaps than Mekhi Blackman. And to go back to the conversation we had in the 7 o'clock hour, I'd like to see Kenny Moore kind of exclusively be that outside corner when they're in the base defense. It seemed like Kenny came off the field a good amount. I understand when you go to 3 corners, you want Kenny in the slot, but I think when you have 2 on the field, Kenny Moore is such a solid football player. I want him to be one of those 2. So yeah, that's something that has been a little head scratching for me.
What do you think it looks like rotationally and guys getting snaps now that we're not going to have Sauce Gardner coming back?
Well, again, I mean, look, like I just said, I think Kenny should play every snap and be the base corner, outside corner when you're in kind of your 4-3 alignment, which you really aren't in a whole lot. And then when you go to nickel, you have a third corner on the field. I'd like to see Jalen Jones get more snaps than Mekhi Blackman. But I'm not holding my breath for it.
Tom says we should discuss how many games of the remaining 5 that the Colts might win. How many do they need to win to make the playoffs? 3? I feel 3-2 is required. 3 would get him to 11-6. That's probably what it feels like this year. 11 might be what you have to get.
I'd be stunned if you missed the playoffs with 11. Honestly, Tom, it probably matters which of the 3 you win. I mean, if you win the 3 divisional games, if you win the 3 divisional games, you probably have a home game.
Yeah.
You've probably won the AFC South. If the 3 wins are San Francisco, Seattle, and you split Jacksonville, then we're probably looking at Houston winning the division title. So I think it really matters not so much 2-3, 3-2. I think it matters, do you get the AFC South games? And again, just to go over the final 5 in order, it is at Jacksonville, at Seattle, Monday Night Football against the 49ers in your own building, Jacksonville in your own building, and then you close out the season at Houston, Week 18. Based off record, it's the hardest remaining schedule in the NFL.
Man, it feels like a road win in Jacksonville would go an awfully long way, doesn't it?
I mean, yeah, they haven't done that since I was in high school.
Man.
I mean,
James
2014.
Boyd didn't have armpit hair the last time the Colts
Yeah,
won.
2014, no facial hair, and I think I was rocking the mohawk back then. And
I was not married and didn't have kids the last time they won.
A lot has changed. I mean, if you look at the players who played in that game, I think it might have been Jake Arthur. Shout out Jake Arthur from Locked On Colts. He told me, we're sitting there at the game Sunday, and I think he mentioned that Darius Butler had an interception in that game. And now the younger generation probably recognizes him as the guy who's on the Pat McAfee show. And Andrew Luck was in his 3rd season. He's now in his, 2nd career as the football operator, general manager guy over at Stanford, his alma mater.
He's running down the sidelines for pick sixes.
Reggie Wayne played in that game, and now he's in his 4th season as the wide receivers coach, I believe. So that would actually probably be a funny story to do. Like, okay, let's take a look at what the world looked like. What iPhone was out? What was the latest iPhone back in 2014?
Ahmad Bradshaw scored a touchdown in the game. Your 3 leading tacklers, I believe, were DeQuell Jackson, LaRon Landry, and Greg Toller.
It's one of the weirdest streaks in all of sports.
Well, especially because the Jaguars have stunk.
Right.
It's not like you're an 11-year drought at Arrowhead.
Yeah.
Or Foxborough or, whatever. This has been, and you've lost all sorts of games. High scoring, low scoring. Andrew Luck got shut out there, 6-0 to Cody Kessler.
That's the low point.
In 2018. So basically, if there's one common thread, and again, the personnel's changed, the common thread is Jacksonville's D-line has whipped you annually and turnovers.
You think that Colts roster gets together like the 72 Dolphins and cracks champagne every year that the current Colts don't win at Jacksonville? Like, we're the last ones to do it.
Andrew Luck's organizing a Zoom.
Grab the bottle opener.
Here are the scores.
Chuck Pagano cheersing.
Since that win when they were 44-17 winners over Jacksonville in 2014, they've lost 51-16, 30-27, 30-10, 6-0, 38-20, 27-20, 26-11, 24-0, and last year 37-20, and last year 37-34. So you're right, all different kinds of games.
Season opener, Philip Rivers lost there. You're playing for a clinch of a playoff berth with Carson Wentz. You get run out of the building. So all shapes and sizes. By the way, Rick Carlisle coming up in 9 o'clock today for the Pacers.
In 20 years since they hosted the Super Bowl, this is their Super Bowl on Sunday in Jacksonville. They're not getting any actual Super Bowls anymore, I don't think. Joel A. Erickson will not stand for that. This is their Super Bowl on Sunday. Mike DiRocco says as much, the Jaguars reporter. He said the fan base gets a little extra zest in their step when the Colts come to town these days.
No, stop. Are there really Jaguars fans?
There has to be.
They're all in
Someone's
London.
in there. Someone's in that
They're in London.
STD pool.
Yeah, they're all making out in that pool up there.
Yeah. Jackson DeVille's dropping from the sky for some people.
We're going to talk Big Ten Championship next. 93.5, 107.5 The Fan. Little bit of a football game coming up on Saturday night, Lucas Oil Stadium. Second-ranked Indiana taking on top-ranked Ohio State for the Big Ten Championship. Last time you can make your case for the upcoming college football playoff with both teams certainly getting in regardless of what the outcome of this football game is. But we see a 5.5-point favorite for Ohio State. We saw some analytics this week that saw that maybe Indiana has a slight chance to win this. One thing that'll be interesting to the players, obviously a couple of Heisman Trophy contenders. James, we've been watching our guy, Fernando Mendoza, all year long, and then Justin Sayin has been playing great quarterback, nearly identical, even somewhat superior statistics at Ohio State.
Julian Sayin.
Julian, me and names today, James. Thank you for being here for me. That's all
good.
I'm saying, man. And I knew that was coming. Took you a second to find it. But I knew it was coming.
It's all good.
Debating? I'm
No,
like,
it's not good.
No.
But continue, sir.
My point being is there are a lot of names to look for, but defensively for Ohio State, there's a kid named Caleb Downs who's got a little bit of a story people around here might be interested in.
Yeah, so Caleb Downs is the younger, bigger brother of Josh Downs because he is a little bit taller in stature, and he's an outstanding safety, one of the best safeties in college football, one of the best players in college football. Many believe this to be his last year with the Buckeyes in college football. He started his career actually at Alabama and then spent the last 2 years with the Buckeyes, and he's outstanding. And so during an interview yesterday, Fernando Mendoza had a chance to talk about him. He was asked about him. And I thought, honestly, listening to Fernando, man, again, I go back to the tour guide comment, Kevin, he could be a great tour guide because he explains a lot of things in depth. It's interesting. It's, complimentary, but it's also real. So here's what he had to say, Mark, if you got it dialed up for us, about Caleb Downs, again, the younger brother of Colts wide receiver Josh Downs.
I would say his versatility. Whenever I'm watching film, the way that he's able to rotate down, affect the run game, the way that he's able to match, whether it's zone or man, and lock down that receiver, or the way that he's able to flip his hips and drive on a seam ball, or just any ball in general, is truly special. A player that is able to play effectively at all three levels is always something that you got to consider. And I think that the nation has taken notice and given him the hype that he deserves, as he is one of the best defensive players in the country for a reason. And it's going to be a great opportunity to go against a safety like that, especially as a quarterback. Your eyes are always on the safeties, and you're always trying to evaluate the safeties, as that's a big part of the structure of the defense. And that's why you always hear Tom Brady talking about Ed Reed so much, because that was a great safety that he played against. And I feel like now I have a great opportunity to go against a great safety who's going to play in the NFL one day.
Yeah, we saw Downs last year, of course, have a huge punt return to the house against Indiana. That was a really kind of a game-changing play there in the third quarter. Mark, double-check these Heisman odds. I think we've kind of been saying this. Yes, I think Jeremiah Love is a great, great player. I think he's the best player in college football, but I realized that when he got hurt on Saturday night and then he came back in the game, didn't put a great game by any means. His Heisman odds are now done. It doesn't seem like this is just the winner of the game wins the Heisman, though. It seems like that Vanderbilt kid, Diego Pavia, is really up there in the odds.
Yeah, Sayin and Mendoza are both tied at plus 160, so they're the favorites. But Pavia's not far behind, plus 195, so he's right there.
And he's got the flair. He's, I don't know if you saw the Heisman celebration him and his offensive line
I did see that.
Over the weekend. And, Sayin, I thought, had a couple of, nice moments, certainly against Michigan. Mendoza, obviously didn't have that in the bucket game. Certainly, I think if Mendoza and or Sayin have a big game Saturday night, it'll be huge with Pavia not playing this championship weekend. But I am curious how we see this vote split up. I mean, that's pretty wild to have. You said all of them are under plus 200?
Yep.
I mean, that's pretty rare. I mean, Heisman votes are due, by this time next week, and to have all of them that close is something you don't typically see. But again, should be a hell of an atmosphere inside of Lucas Oil Stadium, and a day that Indiana fans dream of. Can you imagine having an IU basketball game against Louisville, undefeated IU basketball against Louisville, and that's the undercard for IU fans?
That's crazy. Yeah, that is crazy.
In your state capital.
I'm so mad that I'll be in Jacksonville. I felt telling Joel I'll be in Jacksonville this Saturday, so I can't be around. Because I do think it'll be a great atmosphere, even for those who don't go to the game in person, and that's most people because tickets are going to be expensive. But, yeah, it's going to be buzzing down here, man. A lot of excitement and a lot of optimism, I think, and deservedly so.
All right. Coming up in a moment, we'll talk basketball of the NBA variety. The head coach of the Indiana Pacers stops by. That's Rick Carlisle next. 93.5, 107.5 The Fan.
All right, 9 o'clock on a Tuesday. I know some people Might be you just get out of the house right now. Commute in wasn't too bad. Granted, that was, 3 hours ago, but certainly safe travels. I thought side streets, a little meh, but main streets weren't too bad on the morning commute. Unfortunately, I think the weather probably impacted a little bit of the atmosphere last night inside of Gamebridge Fieldhouse. To talk more about the Pacers and the Cavs last night, he is the head coach of the Indiana Pacers, and he's with us right now, Rick Carlisle. Coach, good morning to you. How are you?
Good. Sound like you guys were slow jamming the news there with that music.
Little slow jam action. Can you get behind that?
Sure, why not?
Look at that. All right. Mark Dykton, jot that down. We might need that for a Rick Carlisle re-entry here coming up later in the season. Coach, defensively, you guys have been very good over the last week and a half, 2 weeks or so, but last night, a lot of second chance points early in the game. Did you see that as the biggest difference for Cleveland?
Yeah, we didn't do a good enough job hitting first on blockouts, and I think they hit us for 9 or 11 second chance points in the first quarter, and that was a bad start.
Rick, when you look at these games and you're able to kind of climb back into it, I guess what's the message when you see the version of yourselves that obviously can play the brand of basketball you want to? Like, is that something that you revisit after the game? Like, hey, this is how we have to play the entire 4 quarters, or, how in your face with it are you?
Well, are you talking about how we're presently constructed?
Yeah, because it is, I don't want to say it's an excuse, but at the same time, there's some legitimate reasons for maybe why you aren't playing your typical brand of basketball.
Yeah, we've had to adjust a lot, and I think that's obvious. And so, look, we've made progress in the last 7 games. So before last night, in the previous 6 games, we were number 1 in the league in defense. So that's progress, and that's something to be proud of. But as we know, it's not a destination. I mean, this all requires continued work, continued focus, and so we had slippage last night, pretty obviously. Cleveland came in here on a 3-game losing streak. Give them credit; they were very determined, and Mitchell got going, and we didn't have very many answers.
I know you mentioned your defense really playing at a high level. Of course, some slippage last night, as you mentioned. But on top of that, looking at Jay Huff and what he's really done for your team over the last week or so, how have you seen him find a groove offensively and defensively? Last time I checked, I believe he was leading the league in blocks per game.
Yeah, he's made great progress, and he's a terrific kid. He came into a situation that was quite different than Memphis. There's been certainly an adjustment period for him. A lot of things with our team has changed this year, but as we've gone along and had, some moderate success over the last 7 games, he's certainly been a big part of it with his ability to stretch the floor. He's rebounded well, and you mentioned the block shots. I mean, he's pretty elite in that area.
Pacers Nuggets coming up tomorrow night inside of Gamebridge Fieldhouse. Rick Carlisle with us here on the Payless Liquors Hotline. You mentioned that number 1 defense, there for about a 2-week stretch. What have you liked from a change standpoint on that end of the floor? Again, we've seen some lineup tweaks, but what has it been on the defensive end that's given you certainly much more optimism about where you guys are playing?
Probably just simply the fact that we've been physical. We've done a reasonably good job of keeping people off the free throw line when we've had success. Our rebounding has been better, certainly with the exception of last night. And so, it's the NBA is a difficult league. It's a difficult league. It's become more physical. We were certainly a part of that with how we played the last couple of years. And so you always have to keep adjusting, and then you have to adjust your adjustments.
I want wanted to go back to over the weekend, Coach. Obviously, you guys win the back-to-back against Washington and Chicago, and you see Pascal Siakam hit that game winner. You guys have been on the wrong side of several of those shots here throughout the early part of the season. If you could, from your perspective, like, what did you see from Siakam on that play? I was particularly struck by just his entire demeanor. Cool, calm, collected, seemingly knowing where the clock is, the pump fake, all of it. Could you kind of walk us through what you saw from Pascal in that moment to win the game?
Yeah, he all the things you just mentioned, certainly. He had a good feel for the clock. We tried to space the floor to give him an angle in an area to go to get to a spot. It was not an easy shot. And I was right behind him in line with the basket. And in real time, just standing there, it looked like he went to his spot and rose up, but there was actually a hesitation, and it reminded me a little bit of Dirk Nowitzki. I saw many game winners during my 13 years with him. I think 11 out of 13 were with him, and Pascal has the ability to, at the last second, very calmly and very coolly change the angle of the shot, to back up a little bit, and ball goes a little bit higher. You can go up to try to block it all you want, but when he makes that geometrical change and gets it up, there's just no way to get to it, and it was perfection. As difficult as it was, I mean, the only thing better would have been if the red light had gone on while the ball was in the air. But 0.1 on the clock is pretty damn good, and it was an amazing shot and certainly much needed.
Yeah, I was saying, watching that game, we got to get the home clock operator to give him the walk-off win there with the 0.1 still left on the clock. But, Rick, you touched on a little bit there, but how much value do you think it is, especially in a league like this where there's so many guys that can, do multiple things now as far as, shoot, drive, pass, whatever, but you still have that one guy, at least on your roster, and I think Benedict has some of this as well, that when you're kind of in a bind, he can still get a pretty good look. You've been around the game for a long time. How rare of a talent is that?
Well, this is the definition of a max player. A guy that can consistently create an advantage for his team. So, really the technical definition is probably can consistently create an advantage for himself. But in Pascal's mind, it's all about the team and what he can do for the team. And so, it's made him, a very special player for us. He's a very special person, and how he's led through this difficult stretch has been quite exceptional, because he's remained very upbeat. He's had great wisdom. He picks the exact right spots to interject on what's going on and to help. And his consistency has been impeccable.
Then Rick Carlisle with us here on the Payless Liquors hotline as the Pacers will get back to work. Coming up tomorrow night, it'll be the Pacers and Nuggets inside of Gamebridge Fieldhouse. Coach, we've talked a little bit these last 2 days on the show about how this weekend, Saturday specifically, is kind of a dream scenario for IU fans. Their basketball team will play inside of your building coming up Saturday afternoon against Louisville. Then they'll play in the Big Ten title 1 versus 2 Saturday night. It kind of got me thinking. I don't know if we've ever asked you this. Did you have a favorite team, any sport when you were growing up, or a favorite player? I get you weren't dialing up League Pass necessarily, but did you have a favorite team, a favorite player growing up?
You talking about football or basketball or either?
I guess any. Just like childhood Rick Carlisle. Did he have a favorite sport or favorite team?
Yeah, I followed the NBA, largely through magazines growing up, because we didn't have cable TV. I think I probably told you this story, but early on, when I was 10 or 11 years old, that was when Lou Alcindor was drafted by the Bucks, and he and Oscar were playing together there, and I became a big fan of Alcindor, who became Kareem, and then I kind of hooked on with the Lakers in '72 when they had their run, and at one point won 33 games in a row. And I remember listening to games on AM radio, during the playoffs that year. Back in those days where we lived up near Canada, you could pick up AM radio signals, late at night, and it was pretty amazing. It would come through very clear, and that was the year they had, West, Goodrich, McMillan, Happy Hairston, and Chamberlain as their starters, and they were great. And and then after that, I'm just trying to think. I was somewhat of a Knicks fan, in the early '70s as well. My dad grew up in Elmsford, New York, which is in Westchester County. We went to a couple of Knicks games early on at the Garden. Those were very, very memorable. I was in my, 11, 12, 13-year-old, range of age. And then, all that kind of came full circle when I got signed by the Knicks on December 1st of '87. And that night had my best game as a pro, in Madison Square Garden. And I just, so much of that stuff was so cool. And then, when the ABA NBA merger happened, Dr. J was the guy that was, I was completely enamored with, the style of play, the grace, the dunks, all that stuff. And, of course, emulating a guy who you could never in a zillion years hope to play like was kind of idiotic in a lot of ways, but it was it was inspirational, watching him. And so and then the irony of ironies was, I was pretty much a Celtic hater in those days, because of my love of Dr. J and the Sixers. And then I get drafted by Boston, and then once I got there and made the team, of course all that changed. And very interestingly, the opportunity to play with Larry for 3 years in Boston, Larry Bird, that is, and became friends with him, and it was one of the reasons that we ended up coaching together and then working together, a little further on down the line. But that's kind of the history of my favorite teams, etc. As far as football goes, right now it's the Colts, baby. I'm dialed in, and those damn officials the other day. What a screwing that was.
I don't think they can find you across leagues, right?
I'd love to follow up, but I'm worried about your pocket. I don't know if they can. Roger Goodell can step in there, Coach.
He ain't gonna get me. He ain't gonna get me.
I love that.
Adam can get me, but Goodell can't. He can't touch me. No.
I love it. So last one I have for you, Rick, and actually this sparked. It was from a debate I had with my family during Thanksgiving. We always do okay, whose era is better? Your era with LeBron and, SGA now and Jokic versus my dad's he loves the Michael Jordan and Larry Bird and all those guys and Dr. J, like you said. So we were looking at the Michael Jordan game. We scored 63. I believe you were on Boston when this happened. And looking at the spacing from that game, Rick, is jarring to me because it's so different. Not taking anything away from the skill level that each era has, but as a coach and as a player throughout the years, what has it been like to evolve with the spacing of the game? I know you talked about the physicality a little bit earlier in this interview, but the spacing's so different, and how has that maybe affected how you coach and the rotations you have and things of that nature?
Yeah, it was maybe a week and a half ago, I was going through the channels and NBA TV was on, and they had Game 5 of the playoff series between Philadelphia and New Jersey, and it was a series that went to a deciding fifth game in the first round.
every game in the first 4 games was won by the road team. So, New Jersey won the first 2 games in Philly. Philly won the next 2 games in New Jersey. And this is New Jersey with, Michael Ray Richardson, Buck Williams, Albert King, Otis Birdsong, Darwin Cook, a lot of good players. And Philly was, it was Dr. J, and really it was their pretty much championship team intact, a year or 2 after the championship. And so watching that game, I had the same, I had this exact same thought. I mean, everything was so bunched in. I don't think I saw one 3-point shot taken. In fact, Philadelphia was down late, and they had a couple of possessions left. They didn't even think about shooting a 3, So it was so much has changed. And look, there was a scoring crisis in the 90s and headed into the early 2000s, and then Jerry Colangelo had a group that was put together by David Stern. David gave them autonomy to make some rule changes to make the game better, to help evolve the game forward. So the big change was you could play any defense as long as you did not get a defensive 3-second violation. And so all of a sudden, instead of grid lines that determined whether or not you were legal or not, you could now double team a guy that didn't have the ball, and that didn't used to be the case. So the ball had to move, and as the ball had to move more with the legality of zone defense, etc., players had to develop a different skill set. The game started to breathe more. The 3-point shot started to be realized as the potent weapon that it's viewed as today. That was kind of the beginning of the change of the game. And then, nowadays you have analytics. You've got a 3-point line, but a lot of these guys are shooting from what would be a 4-point line. And, I love the way the game has changed. It's really the ultimate challenge to play. It's the ultimate challenge to defend in it, and it's just super compelling because as we've seen over the last 2 years, especially, no lead is too large and no deficit is too big. And the 3-point shot and the speed of the game has put a great deal of excitement into it. So. Yeah, I'm with you on that. And watch that game 5. Man, I've never seen so many people bunched up together in the lane. It was unbelievable. The only game that I would compare it to that I've seen that I went back years later and happened to see on TV when we were playing Washington back in it was around 2008 or something. It was when I first got to Dallas. They had our Virginia-Georgetown game. So that was Ewing versus Sampson. And that game had no 3-point line, no shot clock. and we were sitting in a zone, and it was packed in, and possessions were super long, and it was like watching paint dry. I mean, it was really arduous. And so I'm thrilled with the way the game's evolved over the years. It had to, in some way, shape, or form. There was always talk about, hey, the floor needs to be bigger. Maybe the rim needs to get higher, all that kind of stuff. None of that stuff was going to happen because NBA arenas are configured to be a certain size. There are certain, the high revenue seats were not going to go away. And so the game had to adjust, and it has. And as we move forward, you're going to see more 5 men that can stretch the floor, put the ball on the floor, and do all the skill things as well. And it'll get harder and harder to guard.
I always think of scoring. You guys put up, 80-something on Cleveland in the first half of a playoff game last year. And 20 years ago, Pacers Pistons, it was the first one to like 75 would win that series in the Eastern Conference Finals.
Yeah, but I'll tell you one. Like my first year in Detroit, we developed a team that was a tough-minded defensive team. That was our identity. We gave up 86 points a game for the season.
Jeez.
And that was kind of the beginning of this era. That like my first year of coaching was that year, and it was also the first year of the Colangelo rule changes. And so we were all adjusting, but we had defenders. I mean, we had Ben Wallace, who really nobody really knew who Ben Wallace was at that point in time, but he became Defensive Player of the Year his second year with us, and went on to win it like 3 additional times. And under these new rules, you could still have a great defensive team. And so everyone wants to have an identity. And so right now, with us, our identity is we have found a formula to defend well, but it's greatly dependent on the right kind of offense and the right kind of execution at both ends.
Pacers have won 2 of 3 again. They got Denver coming up tomorrow night. Reminder, and I think it's a good reminder on a day like today. You got the Lloyd Pierce annual coat drive coming up 3:30 to 5:30 today over at the Goodwill Horizon House right off of Washington Street. So if you can make it out to that, certainly do. Coach, as always, thank you, sir. We'll chat next week.
Cheers. Take care.
Rick Carlisle right there on the Payless Liquors hotline. Mark Dykton will have that up on the podcast, and he definitely wanted to make sure Roger Goodell knew that he can't get his back pocket.
He ain't gonna get me. He ain't gonna get me.
I love that.
Adam can get me, but Goodell can't. He can't touch me.
That was excellent there. Some thoughts on the Colts game on Sunday and the officiating.
What a screwing that was.
We got to get Shane to return the favor now.
Do not think Shane Steichen would react in that manner in front of a microphone.
Be glorious, though, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it would be.
He just hand Carlisle notes of what he wants to say to officials, and then Carlisle can say it, and then Goodell can't find Carlisle, and then anything Carlisle wants to say to Adam Silver,
there you go.
He gives to Shane Steichen. They pass notes like it's homeroom.
I think you're onto something, Mark.
That's teamwork, Mark.
Yeah.
I think you're onto something, Mark.
Yeah. Can't give cross-league penalties. I think they should do that. And then have do you like me? Yes or no. Do the circle. You got to do the 5 thing.
Just pray that it doesn't fall on the ground and the teacher picks it up.
Do you like me? Yes or no? What a time.
Maybe.
Bubblegum. In
Put a box that says maybe.
Let's check it down. Colts or Jaguars, hopefully a better prepared officiating crew shows up for that game. Colts trying to win in Jacksonville for the first time since 2014. Kickoff at 1 o'clock. Airtime begins at 10 a.m. right here at 93.5 and 107.5. The Fan. Sauce Gardner. Well, he doesn't have an Achilles blowout. That's great news. It is a problem in the upper part of his calf, but when does that mean he can return, James Boyd?
Not sure, but he will miss some time. I would imagine he will return sometime within the next month, though, since injured reserve is not an option, and that would automatically knock you off 4 games. So no IR is a good sign for Sauce Gardner.
Colts currently technically trail the Jacksonville Jaguars for first place in the AFC South. Obviously, a win in Jacksonville, Kevin, would change all that around, and it would send the Colts kind of back on an upward trajectory within the division, too. They need this one.
Yes, big of a game as Sunday was. This one probably rises in some value here. So, yeah, it is absolutely vital, I think, if you want a legit shot at winning the AFC South.
All right, the Indiana Pacers just heard from Rick Carlisle a moment ago. They dropped one to Cleveland last night, 135 to 119. Donovan Mitchell led the way for the Cavs with 43 points. They will take on the Denver Nuggets at the Fieldhouse tomorrow night. They'll be looking for their 3rd win in 4 games if they can get that one. NCAA basketball coming up later on tonight. Purdue on the road to take on Rutgers. Rutgers is 5-3, but that's kind of a deceiving 5-3. They're really not that great, are they, Kevin?
No, they are very bad. So I know Purdue fans, they think back to December Big Ten games, Rutgers being one of them, Northwestern, Penn State last year. Purdue was lost on the road in the Big Ten here in the month of December, but this Rutgers team is not good at all. Purdue's like a 16, 17-point favorite here. Indiana will open up Big Ten play tomorrow. that is up at the barn, another Big Ten team that is not very good, the Minnesota Golden Gophers. So I think a nice way to kind of ease, it's the road, but still a nice way to ease into the conference play for both of those teams. And right now, Butler, Indiana, Purdue, all really strong starts to the year. We've yet to see a loss from any. Well, I guess Butler did lose to SMU on that late shot there, but that's it right now. So really strong starts and a really good night for college basketball. Some good games around the entire nation tonight.
You mentioned Butler. Thad Matta's team will be at Hinkle Fieldhouse tonight, taking on Eastern Michigan. They are 6-1 on the year. 7 p.m. tip, 6:30 airtime here at 93.5. 107.5 The Fan. One game in Monday Night Football last night for the NFL. New England over the New York Giants, 33-15. Giants didn't look good at all, but man, oh man, Drake May continues to impress, doesn't he, James?
Yeah, might be the MVP front runner at the moment, and I believe this is his third year, which is pretty remarkable that he's in the MVP conversation that early in his career.
He is getting it done. Also, again, I'm a uniform lover. Those Patriots red uniforms with Pat the Patriot on the helmet, those are awesome. I love those things.
Nothing better than Young Ho Koo's attempt at a field goal last night.
Hit the ground a good foot behind the ball on attempt last night.
That's right up there with the Colts special teams
Wait,
play against
Drake
the
May's
Patriots.
only second year?
Yeah, second year,
a decade
out of North
ago.
Carolina.
Good Lord.
That's when North Carolina used to be competitive in the ACC. Sorry about that. Did I take another Belichick shot right there?
No, I won't stop you.
I apologize for that. We get college football official rankings released again later on tonight. You're right, Kevin. Texas A&M had been at number 3, but then losing a game. It'll be interesting to see what that top 5 looks like when they reveal that. I would imagine Ohio State and Indiana stay right where they're at 1 and 2.
Yeah, and obviously the big drama tonight will revolve, are they reassessing those resumes on the backside of it? Notre Dame's resume obviously has been one that's been talked about a whole lot. Is Texas or Vanderbilt? I mean, they had some notable wins. Does that do anything to kind of push themselves ahead of it? We've kind of seen status quo, really, with a lot of the bracket here over the last few weeks. So it's the final one before championship weekend coming up Friday and Saturday.
And just when you think things have gotten even crazier you could possibly imagine in college football around the game, we saw what happened last night in both Oxford and Baton Rouge as Lane Kiffin leaves Ole Miss to go to LSU. He did not get a rousing send-off at the Oxford airport, did he, James?
No, he did not. I would imagine there were a lot of fingers that we probably shouldn't raise.
Craziness continuing in the coaching carousel. We'll talk a little bit more about that in a moment. Get you ready to go for the Big Ten Championship game on Saturday night as well. It's 93.5 and 107.5. Good morning. I hope your day is going to get warmer and easier and better. I know everybody with kids had a little bit of adjustments going on this morning with delayed starts and whatnot. Did you ever find out if Brownsburg had a delayed start, Mark, or you just been focused on the show?
No, much to the disappointment of Ashley. There was no delay.
My goodness, I know that IPS had
Get
a lot
those
of
kids
delay.
up and out to school.
Was that Rod Wave there?
It was.
Saw that
What a
there was
pull.
another huge pileup on I-65 just south of town in Johnson County.
Yeah, we probably
Today,
got
too.
another 3.5, 4 inches out in Brownsburg overnight of snow. So
Get them up and get them to school, Mark. Let's go.
well, I'm not me. I'm already here.
All right.
Their problem.
In the meantime, we got the Big Ten championship
Their
game coming
problem.
up on Saturday night. Kevin, I was just messing around during the break to see where the ticket situation is right now. And you can get tickets right now. You can go get them, but you better be prepared to spend. If you want to go low, like in section 113, row 2, $3,423 per ticket right now. So for, you and Maddie could go for $6,800, buddy.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Not bad at all.
Yeah.
I just want to give a quick shout out to Jeff for giving us early Christmas presents.
Yes, yes.
Luxury suite at Big Ten
Don't
Championship.
go-
We
I know.
shouldn't have.
I can't wait.
Just go wait at your office and don't move until those arrive, okay?
I will.
Don't go anywhere.
Bated breath.
So anyway, I was looking at some tickets that were like 600 I was dialing around to see what's there, and I accidentally hit the next button.
Oh, I
and
thought
it
he said purchase. I was like, we're going for real.
well, no,
Christine's going to be like, what did you do?
but I hit the next button accidentally, which starts the process of you just going to buy, and they were gone already. So if you're going to go spend a ton of money on this, hurry up and go get it done.
What do you guys think percentage will be in there? Indiana versus Ohio State fans.
Well, that's a good question because Ohio State travels. They travel very well, and they're drivable, like you said.
I bet 65-35 Indiana. What do you think? For as close as it is? As long as they've been waiting for something like this?
I think Ohio State is kind of like they're putting their money towards the playoff game more than the Big Ten Championship. They've been to the Big Ten Championship, I feel like, basically every year for quite a few years now.
I think I'm more with Mark. I think it'll be north of that. I get Ohio State travels. I mean, they do, and their alumni base is massive. But this is the biggest day in IU athletics in decades, maybe ever. You have literally in the state capital, you have the basketball team at 2:00, the perfect little 3-hour gap in between games, and your team trying to win a football championship for the first time in their program history.
So what you're saying, like 80-20?
I mean,
70-30?
I don't want to underestimate Ohio State fans, but yes, I think it'll be north of 65-35.
Okay.
I think it'll feel like a home game for Indiana in there.
I
The
feel like-
game just
I think I'm rolling with Jeff on this one. I really do think Ohio State, because there's so many of them. They're everywhere. I get
There's
that.
so many IU fans.
That's true. That's true. But I feel like you can't necessarily say, oh, they're going to save their money to go to the playoff game or whatever. Not every fan's going to do that.
No, but I think Buckeyes fans like we've been there, done that.
Yeah, Ohio State, man. It's a weird feel to like 1 versus 2. I saw this the third ever time we've gotten it in the Big Ten. I remember the last time Michigan, Ohio State in 2006 was one of the games, frankly, one of the college football games I probably remember the most. This is the first time we've had it, but it doesn't feel like maybe it's at that magnitude, because we're in this awkward state with championship games right now of like, what is the meaning? The winner hoists a trophy, but from a playoff seeding standpoint, you're left, uncertain exactly of what great benefits you get from it. Ohio State didn't even make the game last year. And what did they do?
Mm-hmm.
They won it all.
Yeah.
I mean, Oregon and Penn State played in the game last year. What happened to them?
Things have changed so much, too. You talk about 2006. I mean, the winner of that game, that meant something that game.
Exactly. And that's kind of what I'm getting at, the true meaning of the game. Again, for Indiana football, obviously, a Big Ten championship is just absurd to even ponder. But for Ohio State, I don't know. It just seems like it's a shrug of the shoulders a little bit more.
Yeah.
Yeah, a little bit more.
Okay.
Shane H. might have the right tact here. He says those $400 tickets to get in the door seats, they'll be closer to $200 Saturday morning. You think? By then?
I mean, unless a snowstorm's coming, I don't. Why would they go down? Didn't we feel that way about like Notre Dame IU last year and they only went up?
Yeah, that was crazy.
The closer and closer we got to, and that weather was awful. This is a controlled climate. I am very curious how Indiana will, and I think Kurt Signetti has touched on this. He felt like at Ohio State, especially last year, if you go back and you think on that game, Indiana really played pretty good football through the first 20, 25 minutes of that game. And then they dropped that snap on the punt, and it started to unravel from there. And that was, of course, a road environment there. If I were a betting man, I would take Indiana with these points. Is it still 5.5, Mark?
Believe
Let's
so.
see.
Yeah, to me, I look at Ohio State circling Saturday with Michigan a lot more than they're circling this one, whereas Indiana, they really haven't played anybody in a month or so. So this has kind of been, ever since beating Oregon, it's kind of been this, hey, as long as you show up and don't get COVID, you're going to make the Big Ten title game.
It's down to 4.5.
Starting to get some money in on the Hoosiers.
Mm-hmm.
That's what you're telling me?
Yep.
I wonder if it'll get close to like 3.5 by the time kickoff comes.
Can you imagine these downtown businesses?
This is all hands on deck.
Great this is.
Yeah, this is all hands on deck.
And what that scene is going to be like.
Yeah,
and
I almost feel like you should just expect long lines and a lot of people everywhere, high prices for a lot of stuff, parking, whatever. But hey, you only live once. So
Purdue
enjoy
fans,
it.
stay out of 465 on Saturday.
For real, it's going to be crazy.
You might have your Monday in April, but this is going to be, you're going to hear, this is Indiana blasted everywhere. Hoosiers.
I might wear the candy stripes on Saturday. We'll see.
In Jacksonville?
Why not? Have you seen everything else in Jacksonville? It's pretty wacky down there.
That's true.
They won't judge me.
You might be the best dressed, actually.
You might become the mayor of Jacksonville by the time this weekend's over.
I don't know about that. Well, first thing I'll do as a mayor is make sure their press box doesn't leak. True story. Like every year we go, they have towels that line the windows of the press box.
Is the pool above it?
I don't know. It's a very unique place. To give you just some context of how weird that place is, we have to scan our faces when we go into these games for NFL. And Kevin, you know how it goes. They have a little stand there. But in Jacksonville, you go in this elevator to go up to the press box. So you scan your face to get on the elevator. Makes sense. And there's literally no other floors between the floor you get in on and the floor that takes you to the press box.
That's it.
So you go up one floor, and then there's another thing right when you get off to scan your face again. And I remember walking past it once on accident, and the lady stopped me, and I was like, wait, we should get to scan your face. But there's nowhere you can go in the elevator ride. I'm like, did I teleport here or what? So everything they do there makes no sense.
Well, that's why the Colts haven't won there in over a decade.
It's true.
All right, coming up in a moment, we'll finish up the show, tell you what we're going to be watching tonight. A lot of great college basketball on tap, and we'll take some of your final thoughts and comments on the text line as well, 239-1070. We'll do it next, 93.5, 107.5 The Fan. Latest power rankings are out in the NFL on ESPN.com for whatever that's worth. The Indianapolis Colts have fallen to number 10 right now. And it says the Colts are 5-0 when Taylor rushes for 100 yards or more. That's a bit of an oversimplification because he tends to close out wins by running the ball and chewing up clock. But there is a relationship between the Colts having an efficient offensive performance and Taylor being productive. In recent weeks, neither has been true, and Indy has lost 3 of 4, with Taylor averaging 62.7 yards in those losses. How do you parse all of that out? Is it one leads to the other, or is it chicken and egg kind of there? What's going on?
Yeah, I mean, sometimes I think pure rushing yards, as it's pointed out there, can kind of be backdoored when you have a lead and you put a game on ice. But, I think it's also fair to say just the overall effectiveness of the run game, first half or second half right now, has not been at the level that you want. It's putting more pressure on the passing offense. And right now your passing offense, I think, has some limitations with Daniel Jones' just inability to, move outside of the pocket. You didn't see a whole lot of bootleg stuff from the Colts. And the Colts need more from some of their pass catchers. Josh Downs, Michael Pittman Jr. specifically. I thought Tyler Warren just looked he looked sick to me, frankly, I guess, on Sunday.
Not quite himself.
Which he was.
Yeah. Interesting, though. James, Colts are still the highest-ranked team in the AFC South, according to ESPN.com. So haven't punted on
love
it yet.
ESPN. Don't care about their rankings because the real rankings have them as a second team in the AFC South right now because of the tiebreaker with the Jaguars. So a huge game coming up when it comes to both teams being 8-4. You lose this game, your grip on the AFC South is very hard to get back, I think, at that point because of the tiebreakers and losses you might have against other teams in your division. So you definitely want to end that streak in Duval County, haven't won there in forever, but more importantly for this singular season, get back on track and, put yourself in a position to not only win the division but make the playoffs because, boy, it gets bleak if you keep dropping these division games.
Clearly, we know the Texans have an unbelievably good defense. That's carrying them, and their offense is doing enough, right? What is Jacksonville about right now? What's Liam Cohen got going on with this team?
I gotta dive into it. I usually get into that sort of stuff tomorrow on Wednesdays, but I do know that they're a tougher team mentally than I expected them to be, Kevin. I thought, and this isn't even like Trevor Lawrence is back and he's balling, he's playing great football. He's been okay, but they're just a gritty team, and they found a variety of ways to win, which I think speaks to what he's trying to build there.
Yeah, their offensive numbers aren't very impressive. Defensively, their run defense has been very good. So to talk about Sunday, that matters. Now, Trayvon Walker, Eric Armstead, two of their better defensive linemen, didn't play in their win over Tennessee, so that will be something to keep an eye on. And Liam Cohen was pretty honest that offensive line right now, they're banged up and they need to play better up front. So, that obviously would be an area that you would hope the Colts would take advantage of. I didn't think the Colts took advantage enough of Houston's offensive line. Again, that edge pass rush continues to be a concern for me. But, yeah, I mean, just to put numbers behind what Sunday means, playoff odd-wise, James, you guys had via the New York Times, if the Colts win on Sunday, your playoff odds are at 85%. If you lose, 51%. And for the AFC South, a win would still be right at about a coin flip, 54%. A loss, and it drops to 14%. So you're talking 30, 40% difference, win or loss on Sunday for the playoffs or the division. So once again, as we've reiterated really for the last 2 weeks now, this is the definition of a massive December football game.
Yeah, and to give some perspective there of how they kind of come to these conclusions, a lot of it has to do with the fact that the Colts' end-of-season schedule, at least their opponents they face, are more formidable than the other teams in the division. Because you look at the Jaguars' schedule down the stretch, the Texans, they're not facing the litany of playoff teams, I would think, that the Colts are.
It's definitely a game that needs to be won because just in terms of the division, you come out of that 3-1 already against the division or 2-2, and your next two divisional games are against teams you've already lost to. It's tough. It's just what it is.
As Josh Downs said, this is what you play for. You want to be in these moments at the end of the year. So credit to him for having that mindset, and we'll see if that carries them through come Sunday.
All right, that's going to wrap it up for us. Thanks to Rick Carlisle for stopping by today, along with Joel A. Erickson. Jay Query comes your way from noon to 3 today with Query & Company, and then the ride with JMV begins at 3 o'clock. Butler basketball tonight at 6.